Is the.
No,
I was in my camera. The auditor said, no, I have no.
Oh, we saw you. No.
Yeah, figure it out, Lisa. No, figure it out.
Yep.
Hey, good morning. Call meeting order, 9:02. We'll start with the new flag acknowledgement. We acknowledge indigenous peoples and ancestors whose lands we now. Good morning, Galen.
Good morning.
2.0, actually the agenda, there was a couple of additions. Under 6.1.1, item F is a CREA funding request. And item G, we just added this morning, was a Star Center windows. Anything else to add? Seeing nothing, we get a motion to accept the agenda with the additions. By Councillor Reese. All in favor? It's carried. Minutes from March 24th are there for your review. Any discussion arising, any errors? Seeing none, get a motion to accept the minutes. Okay, Councillor Decken, all in favor? It's carried. So we have 3 delegations this morning. One is he online? Who's looking after that? But
That should be done in now, sorry, my mistake, I had another. Teams not put to use, I'll see it.
I did send them Zoom link.
well,
Start. Zoom city pass. That's we done.
Oh,
Morning, Philip, can you hear us? You're on mute. Maybe we haven't did it too, I don't know. Yeah, just can't hear you. Philip, I don't know if it's our end or your end.
Yep, there we go. Unmuted. Sorry, just getting
Just
back.
give us a second here, we're just.
Okay.
When Philip, while we're waiting for them to do some technical stuff, we'll just do a quick introduction of council too, if you want. I'll start on our end.
Thank you.
I'm Gary Tays, Ward 1.
Good morning, Brenda Usinski, Hodgkinsville, Chinook Valley, Ward 3.
Good morning, Gloria Neckens, Ward 5, North Star Breaking Post.
Terry Ungarian, Ward 6, Hotchkiss Hawk Hills,
Brent Reeve, Edward Sunny Valley.
and we have one counselor online.
Hi, Kaylin Shug. I represent Ward 2, Warrensville, Lac Cardinal area.
And we have one counselor absent, Linda Halavisky from King River Carcajou. Our CEO and executive.
And you guys know me, CIO.
Teresa Tupper, Executive Assistant.
And we have a couple of admin staff in the room.
Charles Schwab, Director of Public Works.
Josh Hunter, Director of Finance.
So good morning, Philip, and we'll turn it over to you. You can introduce yourselves and go through your presentation. We have it in front of us here.
Excellent. Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. I'm just going to share my. Oh, you've got my screen up there already, so this might work. Would you like me to share my screen here directly?
Yeah, we can do that if you want.
Yeah. Let's see if that works. So I've just got my notes set up correctly here, and okay, I want to share screen 1, and okay, excellent. All right, just confirming you can see my screen there where it has implementing Alberta Protection of Privacy Act.
Yep, you can see.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, well, thank you for having me in this morning. My name's Philip Hicks. I'm the CEO and founder of Government Frameworks. I have a funny accent, but I'm actually based here in Edmonton, Alberta. I started the company here a number of years ago. We work with municipalities right from Mackenzie County in the northern parts of Alberta, all the way down to Cardston County in southern Alberta, and about 25 different counties and districts that we work with already. In today's session, we want to talk to you about the implementation of the Alberta Protection of Privacy Act and Access to Information Act, and how that impacts counties like yourselves in preparation for the Act to come into effect on June 11th of this year. So we're moving into a new regulatory environment for information governance. With the FOIP Act being replaced by the Access to Information Act and Protection of Privacy Act, municipalities must implement a formal privacy management program by June of 2026. Failure to comply can result in investigations by the Privacy Commissioner, mandatory breach notifications, reputational damage, operational disruption, but now fines of starting at $100,000 up to $1 million per fine on a per breach basis moving forward. So with that being said, there's a big shift around the protection of privacy and how that impacts municipalities. So part of today's session was more educational for you to understand the practical implications for your municipality and how these impacts are changing your organization. So where I'd first like to start is talking about, well, where does personal information exist within municipal systems? So it exists across many operational areas, including planning, permitting, licensing, utilities, finance, human resources and enforcement systems, and property records. But in addition to these structured systems, there's large amounts of personal information that's also stored in document repositories, shared drives, scanned records, and email correspondence. And in fact, these document and communication systems often represent the largest privacy risk because they contain historical information that may not be governed by retention or classification policies. The key challenge for municipalities is therefore not just protecting information, it's first knowing what information we have and where it exists. So that's why discovery, classification, and proper records governance are essential components of a privacy management program. And in many municipalities, the issue isn't simply technology, it's 30 years of processes and records that were never designed to be governed at scale. So, what does that fancy statement mean in practical terms? In practical terms, every email the municipality has kept over the last 30 years, since computers became somewhat mainstream in the 90s, is subject to this new Access to Information and Protection of Privacy Act. So you think about how many emails would have been exchanged by people sending in void checks for their property tax installments, to someone sending in a copy of a driver's license, an employee to do a driver's abstract. All of this highly sensitive PII data is now subject to this new legislation, and just having it sitting as attachments on emails is not compliant with the new legislation. Because if your network were to be hacked or compromised, you need to be able to accurately report what privacy data was compromised. So if you're sitting there as a councillor thinking, well, why on earth hasn't the administration done a better job of this in the last 30 years? It's got nothing to do with that, because we've been collecting all of this personally identifiable information for the last 3 decades through paper documents, Word documents, PDF, emails, etc., Excel spreadsheets. And this new legislation that's coming into effect also goes back retrospective over the last 30 years. So we were doing all this work not knowing that this new legislation was going to come in. And now we've got potentially millions of documents that need to be identified and classified for their privacy status, and making sure that we control that. And to the credit of the administration, they've been looking at this with us for on and off over the last year or two already, looking at proactively improving records and processes anyway. It's just now that there's this new legislation that's coming in that needs to be dealt with. And sometimes I find a picture says 1,000 words, but this new legislation now applies to everything in this picture. Physical records, hard drives, backups, network drives, servers are all part of this. So to give you context, for a smaller municipality similar to yours, when we use some of our technology here, it scans all of the unstructured data, emails, attachments, file drives, share drives, wherever there's digital documents living in the municipality. And what this did is it scanned 2.2 million files with just on a terabyte of data. Now, in context, there's like 15 to 20 employees in this municipality. So it's it's smaller than your organization. And in this particular instance here, 1.1 million files had personally identifiable information, and 17,500 of those records were classified as high risk PII. So what does that mean? Things like credit cards, social security numbers, passport numbers. These things have just been collected over the years, emails, attachments, documents across the network. And without knowing, you imagine how much time it would take someone in administration to go through every document, every email. It's humanly impossible to do that without using technology to be compliant with this new legislation that's coming into effect. So one of three things really should happen as a municipality under the new act when you get this level of insight to the privacy data that the municipality's collected over the years. The first thing is, like with credit cards, if there's 2,300 credit cards on file, if you don't need to keep it, we delete it. If you do need to keep it, you need to move that into a protection of privacy and access to information compliant database, which we have with Laserfish, that's been around for 40 years in local government for the storage of these records. And then part of the Act also talks about how we collect PII. It needs to be collecting just the minimum amount of PII, but as part of that, when we collect it, we need to store it in a secure place where we can have an audit trail to know who accessed it, what they did with it, etc. And we do that by having digital forms online. And to a large extent, this legislation is the death of paper-based and PDF forms moving forward, because they want to avoid having privacy data floating around in emails that could easily be downloaded and shared where it shouldn't be. So in that particular instance here, the technology really does support what you're doing. We digitize all the forms moving forward, so that residents would have access to an online digital form. That's okay if they still don't want to use the digital form. If they print it out and they bring it in, then just means the staff, to be compliant with the new legislation, would scan that form and then shred that paperwork so it's not sitting on desks or in paper filing moving forward. If you're collecting payments via credit card, you need to be using a compliant payment gateway. In Alberta, there's Moneris and Option Pay that we have both set up with our platforms to move forward. We've done this work now for the better part of 25, 30 municipalities across Alberta. Municipal District of Bighorn is a good example of a similar sized municipality where we've gone in and done this work. They were a little bit ahead of the game. They did this a couple of years ago by setting up this technology to identify all their personally identifiable data, set it up within a proper records database, and then had all their digital forms and workflows converted across through there. So, speaking to a number of key areas here, the reduction in the privacy and security risk is significant with this to get you compliant by June 11th with the new legislation coming into effect. Kind of two ways to look at this. If you don't pay for it now, you'll be paying for it later in the fines moving forward. And your greatest risk, really, from that digital perspective, is every employee, every potential scammer that sends through an email that someone clicks on a link can open up that network to be compromised for privacy data to be stolen. So you want to make sure that you're ahead of the game and having that locked down and being compliant with there. It also will help from a service delivery perspective, being able to have digital access to forms and processes and systems moving forward as well from where you're currently at. And then it makes it easier and faster to access information moving forward. You have a central repository, quicker and easier to search for information and respond to access to information requests moving forward from there. So that's in short what we wanted to cover off from a high level perspective. I'm hoping to just open it up to the floor for any questions that you have today.
Thanks. Well, yeah, this is all new to me. I don't know about the rest of council, but so who is like the organization of government frameworks? Is this like a private company?
Yes, it is. Yep. So I started the company here a number of years ago in Alberta, and I forgot to mention as well, back in November of 2024, we were awarded a Canoe Contract of Canada award, so we can supply to municipalities all across Canada, and we've covered off the tendering piece there already through that with Canoe.
Maybe we should have administration ask the question. You're the ones dealing with this. How do you see this affecting us, Josh?
We've done the presentation already, so bunch of things. Some of it is changes to processes, some of it is kind of a duplication of things we kind of do already. But the biggest thing right now that exists is, as Phil alluded to here, we have emails, we have documents everywhere, paper copies of things everywhere. I can't tell you what we have that's non-compliant, in all honesty. So that part of this is substantial. If you believe the government is going to actually enforce this, which they're supposed to do. So,
Well, that was my question. The next question was, is this something being mandated by the government that we're gonna have to clean up how we store all this stuff and access it, or is it, can you just carry on with?
you're all still looking at me.
No,
That's not my area.
But I'm asking Philip,
Yeah.
right? And can we carry on with banker boxes full of stuff scattered all over and filing cabinets, or are we mandated to organize it under this kind of a system like this?
Yeah, so look, the legislation comes into effect on June 11th. They've given municipalities up to a year to comply. So that started last year in June, July when they announced it. The reason why it typically takes a bit of time is in the first three to 6 months, it takes people time to sort of understand what this new legislation's about. Then you typically get the lawyers that jump in and say they know all about it. And then for us at Government Frameworks, we're very much at the operational aspect, because you could update your delegation of authority of bylaw, you could update your policies, but if you have no idea what privacy data that you're sitting on, and your network is compromised, and it will. The reality is the amount of scammers and hackers that are out there at some point, whether it's a day later or 3 months from now, your network's compromised, data is stolen, and under the Act, you need to be able to identify and report what was stolen. If you have no idea what you're sitting on, which is very common because this legislation's just come in now, and unless you're using technology like this to get up to a level of compliance, the only other alternative or consequence is the fine starting at 100,000 up to $1 million per breach with the legislation. So it really depends on your risk appetite as far as I'm of the opinion with the amount of hackers and scammers that are out there, it's only a matter of time, and you either pay for it now and get it right, or you pay for it later through fines and penalties that come down the line. I think municipalities that are taking no proactive steps in addressing this, if you were to be compromised on June 12th or 15th or 20th, the province can turn around as a privacy commission and go, well, we gave you an entire year and you chose to do nothing. And then it's up to them between 100,000 and $1 million how much the fine is going to be. I think more broadly from just a pure information perspective, I've talked about the protection of privacy. If I skip back to this particular report here, the other aspect is on the access to information. I could call up and say, look, I need to know everything that you're holding on information about, Sally Smith, and I'm Sally Smith calling up. How on earth would you be able to search and identify every record and document where Sally Smith exists? It's literally going to kill administrations just administratively moving forward on the Access to Information Act on that side as well. So it'll certainly speed up and make it easier to respond to those types of requests and queries to go with it. But to answer your question, it really comes down to your risk appetite. If you choose not to be compliant with the new legislation, they're very prescriptive as to the fines and penalties that they'll be handing out to go with that.
So, so I mean, a long answer basically to say that we do have to comply, and I guess that can take maybe more than one form, I'm not sure, but anyway, thanks for the answer, Gary.
So your company would you come into the county office and go through all these files, or how does that work?
So the majority of the work is done digitally, where we can set up the technology remotely, and then we connect into the network. It does all the scanning, identification. We can move the records across into a compliant records retention database and set up the digital forms online. We generally do come out at least once to do a records health check on your physical records to ensure that they're being stored in compliance with the new legislation. And then I would recommend over the next 6, 12, 24 months. So as part of the new legislation, when it comes to physical records, as long as those physical records are stored in a secure, locked environment and you've got an audit log as to who goes in, who accesses it, what they took, that reaches minimum compliance for June 11th. The risk that you have in the long term, and I think it's a very low risk right now, is if someone were to come up and steal a banker box of information, and they'd have to first come to the county and then break into that room and steal it. If I said to you, look, there's this box 135 with a whole bunch of papers in there, could anyone tell me what privacy data was in there? No one would really know the answer to that question. So for a better level of compliance moving forward, I would encourage not just your municipality, every municipality, to digitize those documents at some point over the next 6, 12, 24 months, because then if it was compromised, you'd be able to know exactly what was compromised if there was a network breach.
And so how much does this software program cost?
I believe I've passed on that information to Gerhard, so whether you wanted to speak to that, Gerhard.
I will speak to Councillor about that a little bit later.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Just from my side, I mean, 4 things that I picked up from the presentation we had from Paul is, I mean, first of all, we're going to comply to the legislation, which is probably what we need to do. The second one is we can search in documents, especially for the old FOIP or TIA requests and stuff like that. So if there's requests like that, for a lawsuit, for example, or a TO request, we can literally put in some keywords and it will pop up all the information that we need on that. The third one is our land files, and all of our other files are still physical documents. And that's something that, especially the land files, I really want us to digitize that. So if we have a fire or something, that we don't lose the whole history of this county. We actually just go back and it's all in the cloud and we can get it back up again. And the fourth one is actually removing of some duplicate files. So there's probably going to identify 20 to 50%, if not more, of the data will be duplicates that can probably remove and save space. So we're currently hosting with another municipality. We're looking at when the equipment there is end of life to go to the cloud with our data. That would reduce the actual footprint that we need to get in the cloud to actually host our data. So that would also be potentially saving. Those are the four ones I identified.
Gerhard, one of the other points that I didn't bring up as part of this, the legislation requires the privacy management program to be set up, but it also requires in the legislation ongoing monitoring. And by having this technology running on an ongoing basis, it will continually monitor for when privacy data is collected in a non-compliant way. So you could imagine if you didn't have this technology, how on earth, like if we got everything cleaned up tomorrow, how on earth would we be able to identify if people have started collecting credit cards or driver's licenses, or they're emailing their health benefit claims as attachments to human resources or to an insurance company separately, and all this data is being collected, and suddenly you're falling non-compliant of the new legislation. So part of this technology is a core backbone of your privacy management program, because it will constantly monitor for where that privacy data is being collected. And it's not necessarily of any wrongdoing of an individual. It's just how often do we just sit there and go, oh, you need a copy of my driver's license. No worries, I'll take a photo of it and email it. And you're thinking, oops. And that doesn't have to happen too many times to fall foul of the new legislation. So I think that's a key part for your own peace of mind. This does the ongoing monitoring of the Protection of Privacy Act with the collection of PII inside the municipality to prevent and minimise any chance of non-compliance moving forward.
Okay. Any other questions? Kaylin, you're good?
I'm good, thank you.
Well, enlightening. Something like I say, I wasn't aware of. This was maybe something that was going to be mandated that we have to comply with. So we will discuss this later.
Sure.
And I'm sure that the administration will be in contact with you. So thanks for your time. If you have any closing thoughts.
No, I just wanted to thank everyone for coming along today. This is also something we've found. I've probably done 60 plus sessions like this over the last month. Most municipalities are in a similar position, just trying to get into a level of awareness and education and coming up to their compliance. So I would think you're very much aligned with other municipalities on their journey as well. So I don't think you're too far behind there. But thank you very much for your time, everyone, and wish you all the best for the rest of the day.
Yeah, you too. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Maybe just one comment. So we did training, just to give council a little bit of background. We did some training, was it last year in Peace River? It was such horrible training that they actually gave our money back because we all complained about it. Yeah. And that was supposed to identify all of this. And this guy did it in one presentation, identify the problem first, and secondly also a solution to the problem. So
who did that training? Was it the government or was it
Sonera?
You have to hire someone just to do the scanning?
But that would be a summer student of just doing the scanning.
So as your ATIA coordinator, I did bring this forward a few times in the last year, telling you that we had to revamp our website, put up all the new information, change our forms. I was more focused on the access to information portion than the privacy and protection part. As a small municipality, we've always done the bare minimum over the last few decades. We do have a small idea of where certain big formats of data are contained, who has access to them.
So
But not to this extent, and this was not really made aware to people. There, I've been speaking with the other regional ladies in municipalities, and we're all freaking out about it because it's an extremely high-end process. It reminds me of when the gas station is, you know, a corporate company, and those things just don't work in small communities, right? So you end up losing your gas temple or whatever because their international specs don't relate to a small organization. So anyways, the province has made some huge changes, and they're telling us that we have our own. So it's definitely a huge issue to handle, way more than we expected.
So you would have a list of like, I'm sure not everything you have to keep for many years.
We do have a records management retention
How
policy.
many years?
Yes.
each Type
Yeah.
of record.
And you can literally set it like that. I mean, land files, we scan it permanent, never delete it, and it will be there forever.
So if this all got digitized, everything was gathered into this system, then would you destroy some of those old paper copies and stuff, or would you just hang on to them?
I will probably just add onto the land files, the paper copies, just have it there, because
It's not really in the way,
it's
right?
not that much of it. Some of the stuff that we have in the back, I mean, we'll probably check what do we need to keep of that.
Mhm.
What physically has to be physical copies.
You do have a storage room.
Yes, and our records retention policy does state how long we retain these records. There's only so much that we have to keep permanently. After 7 years and 10 years, certain things we do shred, and we have a policy to follow on that. So there is minimal stuff that we actually have to keep permanently, but your land files that are not digitized are one of those permanent things.
Yeah. And then thing, what Phil's saying here is like, what in those land files is actually protectable? Not a clue, I have no idea. I do know that in most land files, you're gonna find a form that has people's names, phone numbers, addresses, that kind of thing. The other thing is who has access to them? Well, literally anybody who walks past the land files. There's no log of who goes in there to do what. Same with the file room, like it's locked, and that's good, so all of that information is protected, but the key sits in front of it. Anybody can go get it and go in there,
And the land files, there's no logs.
Well, there's not,
right? But I don't know if that's actually not allowed in the legislation, that's. Not what I do with my free time, is read the FOIP, the old FOIP, and new FOIP legislation. Not quite there in the nerd level, but. So that's kind of the biggest problem that I see, is it's just, first of all, like. I couldn't tell you what we do that's non-compliant, so. Somebody needs to figure that out, and then we need to figure out if you guys are comfortable with that risk, or if this fixes that problem for you, because I honestly don't know.
So they said June this year, that's just to show that we're doing something, and you don't have to have it all done. It's gonna take a couple of years to do this, right, or, well, maybe not that long.
When technology is involved, it takes days.
It doesn't take that long, but
There's, like, the document repository side of things and the searchable electronic records, we do that already. Just to make it sound like we don't live in this stone age, we have a system that we pay for that is capable of doing that. It is only good to the extent that we put information in it. So I think we're scanning every incoming and outgoing communication. As far as I know, agreements are all in there, like anything like that, and there's a sorted repository way of filing that. And it's restricted in access to the extent that I think there's only 4 of us in the office that actually have a connection to it. The receptionist who's adding all of the data, and then a few of us who use it. So that does exist. The program these guys use, we actually got rid of like 6 years ago because nobody in the country supported it. So we moved to a Microsoft-based thing. Then these guys showed up and now they support it, obviously. So they've, L'Oreal probably remember Laserfish, that's what they're using now. But we do have that centralized repository that does all of that, shy of the tracking and identifying the PII part of it, because we didn't, obviously.
So I'm thinking this is gonna be a big undertaking throughout the province. I mean, you take, city of Edmonton and Calgary right down to the village of Berwyn or something, everybody's gonna have to do something in some shape. So are these guys, do they have a monopoly to do this? Is there other people offering the same service or? And then
No idea.
how did we end up getting connected with these guys? Did they approach you?
They approached me.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just wondering if they're, they're doing a sales job, right? And what our options might be. But you can talk about the kind of the pricing and stuff later.
Yep.
Okay. All right, well, we'll keep that one open, I guess. Let's move on to a couple of policies before our next delegation. So move to 5.0A, the snow plowing the public private roadways policy. So this is one that we had at our ordinance meeting, right?
Yeah, we briefly discussed this and just pull it up here to set.
So you want to just, you're looking for it, Charlie, want to just kind of walk us through it? Because I know we have quite a lengthy discussion,
Yeah, we.
given the winter we just came out of.
So essentially here, we're just kind of looking for council's direction if you want to keep on. Like we said in the ordinance meeting, keep on plowing private driveways. As we discussed, it does cut down on time that can be spent on actual roads. It is also comes at a fairly heavily subsidized rate. So if council wishes, we can modify it to seniors, or we can axe it completely. Currently, there's 250 signed up, about half an hour on average per driveway. Obviously, some shorter ones be a little quicker. Some of the bigger ones, so obviously a little longer. If there is appetite to keep the program, I would recommend having something in here that says we pause the program if in the event of a heavy snowfall, because that's when we get the most requests to come get their driveways done, because obviously, as everybody knows, snow falls on the road, it also falls on your driveway. I don't know what else. If there's any other questions you guys have,
So
already kind of.
the fee for the driveway plowing, it's in our schedule of fees.
Yeah.
Did we change that? Is that still the same?
Well, it's up in the air, because we didn't know if council wants to keep the program or not.
Right. So I mean, if we did keep it, is there an opportunity to change that schedule of fees to make it a little more cost recovery?
Absolutely, but $200 and some an hour for grader. You'd be looking at, say, $100, so doubling the price essentially.
It's $50 right now.
Yes, that's correct.
And it's not just the cost.
It's the time.
Well, no,
Council, it's the
It's not
time,
the
because normally when there's a snowstorm, like I said, our first priority is to open up the roads, and then it's when all the screaming started. Hey, I need my driveway, oh, I'm stuck in my driveway, I'm stuck there, but yeah, we know that we are fixing the roads first.
yeah, no, and I appreciate that it's a service that the county provides, like a lot of services. So I mean, the time, but I mean, I guess at least adjusting the schedule of fees would help offset a little bit.
Yeah, and as well as implementing a deadline for new applications, if this program were to stay.
Right.
Because like, like I told you in the ordinance meeting, we advertised this for months before snow came. And then nobody applied, well, sorry, I shouldn't say that, a couple people applied. And then the snow hits, and then we get flooded with new applicants, and everybody's busy trying to clear snow, so nobody can go and inspect driveways. in addition to that, your driveway is covered in snow, so how can I tell if there is little landmines around, right? That the grader needs to avoid.
And do they have to apply it every year?
No, you have to apply if you're the new owner. But I think that, you know, it's a very good point, because if you live on your property for 20 years and you applied year one, by year 2, 3 and on, you may have done something in your yard. That could affect what we can do, right?
Right. Galen, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of echo what I said at the ordinance meeting, and I think it's time that we just cancel the program. Unfortunately, times are tough, and this is a heavy subsidized program. It is very hard to justify when the roads that are getting plowed are done last. So then you have a grader going up and down the road with the blade up, which is really frustrating for taxpayers to see. I think we talked a lot about not being able to go in and do the subdivisions and those kind of areas. So then we're going to look at limiting who can even access the subsidized program. And that's not frustrating. So if we can't offer it to everybody, we can't just offer it to some. I think jacking the rate is just going to deter some and not really solve the solution either. So I think it's just time that unfortunately we let it go. We had a gold standard when times were good for road maintenance, and we don't have those good times anymore. And I think it's important to remember that we have to be mindful of the bottom dollar, and it's not going to be very popular, but we have to be mindful about that as well.
Something else too that we discussed briefly in the ordinance meeting is private industry. There were lots of skid steers running around during the major snow event that were doing driveways. So if council wishes, we can reach out to someone and say, hey, look, here's a list of people that do driveways, can come and help you out. The other thing is, and I gave this example in the ordinance meeting, is we had a resident that we went and did their driveway, and we said, well, you have a tractor. And he goes, well, for $50, he goes, it's not even worth me starting my tractor. So it's things like that, right? That's
well, and the other thing we brought up is living rural comes with a little bit of responsibility and independence, right? Like you have to be a little bit self-sufficient to live in the county for sure. You need to know that sometimes you're going to get snowed in and there's going to be dust. And again, not a popular opinion, but it's something to consider, right? Like all the taxpayers are subsidizing a program that very few are taking advantage of. And again, that grader is going up and down the road after all the roads have been plowed to do private driveways with that blade up.
We're seeing more and more acreages over the years, right? And that's that can be a little problematic too, going into that subdivision, absolutely. So that's increasingly seeing more of that all the time. So yeah, I know it's not popular, but I'm leaning towards ending the service as well. And letting people private sector take care of it. Yeah. And particularly when you get it's not a big deal if you get a small snowfall, but winter that we had, I know it was pretty stressful on everybody.
oh, absolutely.
Trying to keep up with this, and particularly the staff on the other end having to handle calls from people.
Well, it's not even just calls, it's you're grading down the road and you get somebody come running out of their house flagging you down. And then saying not so kind things to that operator when they are doing their job. And they're doing things in the priority order that council has set and following what we are supposed to be doing. And I agree on lower snowfall years, like the last couple years we had, wasn't as big of an issue. But it's like Kaylin said, it's sending a grader to go high blade all the way down to Joe Blow's house to plow his driveway. But it doesn't look great. Cause yeah, okay, that driveway may take on average a half an hour, but how long would it take the grader to get? As well, right?
And I
Just
will
saying.
say, and I will say, Charles, like after you mentioned at the meeting, I think it was you that mentioned it, or maybe it was Deb, that like Clear Hills County, they have a list of contractors on their website that will come and do a driveway. So it's not like we're the only municipality that are getting out of the game either. And I did go to their website and it is really great. And I think it's a great economic opportunity for somebody who wants to make some money with their Bobcat or whatever, right? So I did go check it out and it was good.
Yeah, and there was also, I think the point I think Deb made that point, but when we were at the RMA. There were municipalities that looked at us, or looked at me like we were crazy, because we were still doing driveways. They were like, no, we don't even touch that anymore, it's too much of a liability for us. And while yes, you have that agreement signed, if I hit your fence post, you're gonna want us to do something about it, right?
Okay, so, I'm hearing that council wants to have you take this policy back and do some amendments to it.
Well, this policy would just be rescinded.
Because it,
Yeah,
Rescind this one and then just.
yeah, and then in the next meeting, I will bring forward the road maintenance policy. I just need to know, because I don't wanna do a bunch of work in the road maintenance policy. And then have to turn around and take a bunch of stuff out, so.
All right, well, if that's, I guess we need a motion if somebody is willing to do that.
I'll make that motion. That
And-
we rescind the snow plowing policy.
Well, should I delete you want to rescind?
Yes.
Okay, Galen, you probably can't see the screen.
I
Sorry.
can, yep, it's good. I can see it, Terry.
Um,
Thank you.
I think the last part of that motion should be changed. Cause if we're rescinding the snow plowing of private roads.
Yeah, not gonna put it as do.
Yeah,
So, yeah, just leave it at that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Final comments or discussion? I guess I get what council's saying here, but I just have a hard time not supporting the service, but that's my own personal opinion. I don't use it myself. I look after my own driveways. And most of my neighbors do. Just not everybody's in that situation. So anyway, if there's no other comments, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Caitlin, you're in favor?
I'm in favor, yes.
I'm opposed, so that's carried.
Thank you, council.
Okay, we can move to 5.0B, the other policy is the on-call policy. This is another one that
Yeah, just updating it essentially here.
we discussed at our ordinance meetings.
Yeah.
I didn't have any concerns, so if there's no other questions, I was okay to make the motion that we proceed with approving it as presented.
Okay, Councillor Shug moves to accept the new on-call policy as amended. Any discussion? All in favor? It's carried. Okay, let's take a 10-minute break. Our next delegation should be rolling in here pretty quick.
Council, you'll notice on your new policy,
it's been constant are going up.
Yeah, so we had sent or set our original max to 95 and we surpassed that. So we're at over 115 yesterday. So we went up to 130. So neighbors again, yeah.
Right, well, we're 10 o'clock, we'll reconvene and welcome our delegation. 4.0 item B. So Jose, from the para. And just refresh you guys who we are. We'll just introduce ourselves again. So I'll start down with Councillor Reeve.
Morning, Brett Reeve, City Valley.
Teresa Tupper, Executive Assistant.
Yeah, Stickling, the CEO of the county.
Terry Ungarian, Hotchkiss Hot Hills.
Gloria Deccan, North Star Breaking Point, Ward 5.
Brenda Yusinski, Dixonville, June Valley.
Caitlin is online.
Kaylin Shug, I represent Warrensville, La Cardinal.
So we'll turn it over to you. We have your PowerPoint on our screens here, so.
You bet. Yeah. So just kind of reintroducing ourselves and kind of what we did for 2025, especially in the extension and research category, but also what we have coming for 2026. So we have 5 full-time staff members. There's myself, Amber, beside me, she's our operations assistant. Then we have 3 brand new staff members. We have Altaf Hussein, Mohammed Khanai, and Naomi Price. They're all taking over different parts of our research team. Altaf being particularly into our sciences category with research. He'll be doing all of our statistical analysis. Most of the report last year was put together by him. He was doing all the data. Mohammed will be taking over kind of the technician role on the research farm. So he's been ordering our seed and organizing the small plot trials. And Naomi's been assisting him with that, as well as taking over the on-field scale trials. Then we have hired 3 summer students, 1 returning being Claire Taylor. She's from Manning herself. Shelby Bent, she's from the Peace River area. She's going to join our team this year. And then we have 1 student coming up from Southern Alberta, Ellen Weaver. And so she's going to come up and work with us this year. We are interviewing for possibly 1 more, just trying to kind of confirm those ones. And then Jim Gordy, we have hired on as our mechanic, as Art has officially retired. Board of Directors, we actually had no changes this year. Terms were over, but or no terms were fully over, and Chris decided to stay on. So our Board of Directors is Chris Nicholson, Dave Klassen is our secretary, Willie Stahl is our vice president, and then Michael Scott, who's a director, has taken over as the Erica rep. We have Ariane Boss, and then Ari Lugman, and then on the county, obviously Gary Thies, and Andrew Hardy is our business rep. And then extension, we had well over 25 extension events in 2025, with like our most notable ones being our Farmer Appreciation Night last year, our July tour, our Ranching for Profits actually went over with really great success with the sold out event. And then we had some other events that were pretty entertaining, which had to do with the drone event. And then we did get involved with the community again through the community garden, doing the Shelter Belt workshop, and then participating in the rodeo. This year, we've already had some events happen. We participated in the Below Ground event, which is through the Living Labs. We organized the PSAG update. That's typically in Fairview in conjunction with PCBFA, who then runs Peace Beef and Cattle Day in Peace River. Then we also have some events coming up, most notably our Farmer Appreciation Night, which is coming up on Friday. Then we also have several events kind of lined up, whether that be our EFP workshops. We've already had one this year, but we've kind of hold multiple throughout the year. And then date settled on for our July tour is likely going to be July 29th. And following that, we have a Gabe Brown workshop, which will be July 30th. Gabe Brown will also speak at our July tour, but that's like our next big event coming up. This year, we are once again continuing the pest monitoring program through Alberta Pest Monitoring Network. So we'll go through to different producer fields and take samples of pests throughout the year. This includes Bertha armyworm, wheat midge, and then we've been requested to do the corn borer as well this year, just to check for that. So last year's on-farm trials, kind of, we'll talk about that one. Our biggest one being the deep rooted cover crop. It was a 5-year trial. It officially ended last year. So now we are doing the data analysis. We've completed the data analysis for 2025, and now we'll do the full 4 years on this. It is to give you some background on this project, our soils, as everyone here kind of knows, they suck. They are very clay. So infiltration in our soils is not very good. It'll sit on the top instead of infiltrating in. So our idea is that deep-rooted cover crops will possibly increase the infiltration rate, which is the big roots on it will keep assisting with that. So this project is we'll do a deep-rooted cover crop 1 year, and then we'll follow it with an annual crop, and then we'll repeat the cycle. So we did that for two cycles. And we measured infiltration rate through a single mini disc, and then also through a double ring infiltrometer. I think can you click again? Does it? Yeah, there we go. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of color in there. These are all our different treatments. The biggest one is we measure for infiltration over time. And we found that there was some differences between some, but not always significant differences. So there are some relations between the two, even though they show great ones. Go to the next one. So I can't read this very well. If you guys can read this better. I do not know these off the top of my head. Yeah, so some of them have kind of partially influenced the rates. What we'd like to see is we knew last year with being a drought year, it's possible that the drought could have affected it, especially with something on the follow treatment year after time. It could be an accumulation of nutrients on the follow treatment, which is one that could have affected the infiltration. But then we also have the brassicas to compare to. So some of the brassicas did have a positive influence on the infiltration rate, but then also it seemed like some didn't. This is something that we'd like to compare over time. So from comparing the very first year of analysis to this year is what we're going to be working on next. It does take quite a bit of time to do it because of the amount of treatments and other variables we have to consider. But it would be ideal to see that if there was a difference between the first year on infiltration to the second year, not only just in general of cumulative, but over time. So these are kind of just more breakdowns of yields. Our yields last year did suck. There's no good way to put it. We did harvest data for the wheat last year, but we did not harvest for peas and canola on this project. And we found it was more of a waste of time to do it when we knew we were not going to get any good valid results. This project is also repeated in Westlock and Battle River through Battle River Ag Society, Battle River Research Group. So they're also doing it. Battle River Research Group did full harvest, but Grow also did, but the year prior they did not because they lost it due to hail. So there is lots of factors coming into the different things. What we will be doing on our final report for ARDAR is we'll be reporting not only ours, but their sites together and trying to find analysis off of that.
So where are they located? Battle River Research, you called it?
Yeah, so they're actually in Battle River.
Morrisburg, south.
Yeah.
Wainwright or wherever, Morrisburg.
Yeah.
Morrisburg, yeah.
So they have another association just like us, and we work together with them for a couple projects. We also partnered with CARA, their Chinook Applied Research Association. They're based in southern Alberta by Oyen, and we did an annual forage cereal trial. So they were able to accumulate all the crops for us on this one, and we planted them. This is a semi-unfunded trial. It's just supported by collaboration. So we did find that the CDC Baylor oats kind of had some of the greatest. They're ours, but relatively, even though there is like that significant trend, in the end, there wasn't a huge change between the two. This we do accumulate to drought. And this kind of continues on all this. If you guys have your annual reports, all of the results are on it, and I have accumulated each page. I don't know if you saw it.
Yep.
The cover crops trial again, we did do that one as well. We found that one to have less variation between the two, which once again, we do accumulate a lot of these that it is possible that they could have had totally different results had we had more moisture last year. So we do recognize that on all our trials.
You go back a slide, please. That's good. Okay.
We find typically on our land oats do best for compared to all cereals, but
Thanks, Teresa.
and then yeah, the cover crops, we just found that there was no significant differences. We do several trials through the Peace Region Living Lab, one being our intercropping trial. So we intercrop peas with wheat and canola and change the fertilizer rates. The idea behind this is to see if it would be a new beneficial practice and actually like serve us well on this land. So we compare quite a few different areas of it, but one being like weed control is one that we do. We will stack out 2 flags that'll give us a quadrant that we will count throughout the year, and that one will observe for weed cover and see how it changes. This plot does not get sprayed, it doesn't get hand weeded because it's also a weed control one. There is nothing we can spray on these crops to help manage weed control. So as you can see over time, significant weed changes. The biggest one being as moisture came in, the weeds were able to thrive a little bit better than what past years had been. So our first year or our first observation on weed cover, there was very little weeds, but as time passed and we allowed weeds to get control, they very much accumulated over time, which is to be expected with a project like this. Our annual clovers is a trial through the Peace Region Living Lab in which we are comparing different types of clover and how they are establishing with wheat and canola. This is a comparison to see also if we can change fertilizer rates but also how it can be done. Lots of farmers do broadcast clover, and this is a project to see if the establishment does work well with broadcast or if it should be direct seeded. So we did find that with the clovers, there was one clover, the subterranean clover, that did best with the canola when it was drilled. There's other weed cover things. We did the exact same weed cover analysis with this one that we did with the intercropping one. So finding that there was quite a bit of changes and variance between the two, but nothing that stood out because once again, our canola and wheat did not do well in this project. We are doing our final year of the relay, our winter cereals relay crop. So this is one where we seed one crop and then do a spring wheat. This year we will be doing with it. We've found that in past years, something like our triticale does best. But we will be reassessing it again. Our offsite project for the Peace Region Living Lab, we also call this our co-benefits. It's probably one of our biggest projects throughout the year. We travel to 5 different producer sites throughout the year, which is more than 10 locations. And we'll take different settings as in compaction level, soil moisture, infiltration rate, and then we will go by and we'll collect residues, weed cover, forage mounts, grain samples, and we'll take all data from those projects. So we do compare the BMPs typically, which is the best management practices versus what a producer would call a conventional one. Some examples include a conventional canola crop with regular fertilizer rates versus a canola crop with humic. Or another one will be a regular wheat field, and then one that someone will do a cover crop followed by intercrop. We do have several of these. So then these are just comparing the different measurements we're taking over time or compared from one BMP field to the check field. Some of them will show that the BMP field is worse over time, and some of them show that at different depths it is different. So it is another comparison that we will be comparing these fields not only from this year to the next, like from this field to the next field, but also from this year from the very start of the project, which was in 2022. The water quality one, a SAM project. This is the one that we really enjoy doing, our staff enjoy doing. It's going on adventures and collecting water samples. We take the water samples and then we send them off to Element. Element does the water analysis, and then HCL, a company in Whitecourt, they take all the data and they write a report for us on it. They take the historical data for it and they put together a really great article that we would not be able to do without them. The full article write-up, we put a summarized one on in our annual report, but the full one is available on our website as well.
So who does that report again for the?
HCL. They're Hydraulical Consultants Limited. They're based out of Whitecourt. We worked with a different company in the past, but they were called Equality, but they got bought out by another company and then they just got difficult to work with. So
who pays for that service? Impera has to?
So last year we actually got it funded through the Land Stewardship Center. They did a full, like they covered the cost of that plus some of our mileage and those things. Unfortunately, that organization has now been shut down. They ran.
So what does it look like this year then?
So this year we have received a quote back from HCL. It'll be comparable in price. I believe, I don't have the exact number on me.
It's in here.
Yeah, 14,000.
With
Yeah, and that's including like the shipping, taking the water samples, getting the samples and analyzed, and then doing their report as well.
Okay.
It doesn't cover the cost of our mileage, but typically in the past years we've just used the money coming from the county on that one.
I took the pricing out of the council package, just because it is a monetary value, so it is available.
We are still looking for a couple, we've contacted a couple different organizations to see if we can get funding for it for this year. I do have Altaf, he is in communication with several people just to see if we can get it. If we can, we will move forward with it. If we can't, it'll be kind of dependent on what is decided. Research projects to coming up. We have quite a few that are confirmed, some of them being research projects, some of them being demonstrations. These are ones that we did last year that I haven't even brought up. They all are in your annual report. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to any one of us at Napera. And Megan, Amber and I are the only ones left at Napera that did these projects. Megan has moved on to other jobs, but we do have Altaf. He did do the science. He might not be able to answer why we did certain things, but he will be able to explain graphs better or the data analysis on it. Research, we have quite a few projects that have been confirmed. Some of them are continuing projects, some of them are new projects. And then we have a couple projects that we're still waiting for contract agreements to come through, which is a very exciting time for us because we have quite a few more projects this year lined up. The benefit being is with the new seeder we got last year, we weren't able to use it last year because it didn't arrive till mid-July. But this year we do have full plans to use it and to utilize it to its fullest capability. We are doing a little bit of a last kind of minute. Every year we do what we call either a crops garden or our own variety trials. These are ones that when we do our July tour, lots of producers love to come and check out and see. We do every year do a survey for it. If there's any crops that you'd really like to see us do, we do make our fullest effort to have them on our field farm. So kind of in the planning, of course, there's our new cedar. We were pretty excited when we got it. We did 3 days of training on it last year, and we're going to bring the guy that built it again up, and he's going to do some training with us again on it, especially with all our new staff. We're pretty excited to use it. We're excited to have our new staff kind of come in, leave their ideas. They're coming. They've brought 90% of our new projects forward. So it's really exciting to see their kind of energy. Also with 2 new summer students and 1 returnee, it's good to have 1 returnee, especially someone as good as Claire. She loves working with the equipment, so it's a good student to have on board with us. Our living labs and co-benefits, it is kind of the final year of it, which is disappointing, but it's also a good project and it's something we've got a lot out of. And then especially with the new trials with the acidic soils that we have.
You guys do need livestock trials, or is it more?
We do stuff with producers on their field livestock wise. We do have feed stuff like forage feed. We don't have anything particularly with livestock yet. We are working on using virtual fencing this year. So we're trying to confirm doing a virtual fencing trial and then
Are you tagging the elk for that too?
yeah. Should. But no. The virtual fencing trial, we're going to use it as a mix of just to see if it works in this area, the cost efficiencies of it. There are the 2 different types. There's the cell-provided ones, and then there's the satellite ones. We'll probably end up using the satellite ones, but that's like a big one. And then we are going to try and do an extreme rotational grazing with it and then monitor the impact on the soil. We couldn't do half of the stuff we do at Napair without the support of course, the county. Ardar is a big supporter of it, and then the Sustainable Cap program. Alberta Ag was the main funder for our new cedar last year with the $225,000. So that was a good one. It covered up to 95% of our new cedar last year. But we also have lots of producer partners and people that donate seed to us, companies that work with us, and then partner groups that get us along with them on different projects. So that's kind of it.
Thanks, Jose. Any questions from council?
Are you doing any research this year on non-conventional crops?
Non-conventional?
Yeah.
We don't have any full research done setting up this year. We are going to work with they're still conventional, it's not conventional for here, is lentils and flax. Flax seems to like really acidic soils, which we have.
Flax used to be
Big
very
and
popular in this area.
yeah. But it is coming back. Flax is one that has come back a little bit. We like to do more of a demonstration. Is there any non-conventional crops you'd like to see?
What about hemp? Is that?
Yeah, hemp is one that was done in the past before I was here. It is just a lot of work to get the allowances to grow it. And also it did not do good in our area. Our soils, it just didn't like it. If we get it up in Mara, it does amazing. It grows 14 feet, 16 feet. And Sarda, it's done decently well. We haven't. It is one that we've thought about approaching again, but just haven't got anybody on board to support it because it hasn't done well.
I know when Tom was here, he was trying soybeans repeatedly and kind of
Same.
gave up on that, or is that?
Yeah, that one's a very particular crop. We don't have the heat growing days for it. It would be interesting to try if we had a drought year. again. But that between that one and corn does okay. But hemp or soybeans really need the heat days that we don't have.
He was trying to do some crossbreeding, trying to get a variety that would work, and all.
Yeah.
That was kind of ambitious, but maybe not realistic, I guess.
That would be interesting to try. We don't like our newest staff. I'm gonna give them 1 year to kind of get themselves settled in. And then after that, we'll definitely loosen the reins on give them a little bit more freedom for research.
It just, I mean, whether you believe in climate change or not, but it seems like there is a change in our climate. Maybe some of these crops will become adaptable, like soybeans or, you know, different varieties of corn or whatever. Would be, I mean, I guess you guys, that's what you do is research, right? So a plot or two of them to
Yeah.
try to get in. So your 3 new staff, have they all settled in? They found accommodations in the area? Are they living in the region yet, or?
Yeah, so they all came in starting, Mohammed came in October, and then Naomi and Altaf came in November. We've had pretty good time with them now.
Good.
So unfortunately, there's not a lot of training you can do when it comes to summer stuff in the winter. But so this year is definitely I wanted to get us lots of trials to use the cedar, but I also didn't want to get too many trials that we couldn't manage it. So we have lots of trials that are pretty easy, self-sufficient ones for that reason, because we just want to make sure that we can.
You drill will give you every opportunities.
Yeah, exactly. Like it'll save us lots of time because we don't have to fertilize and then go back and seed. We can do it all in one run. And that's something that's really exciting. I think the efficiencies, it's gonna go in the ground. It has way more weight to it. Our other one, when the ground was hard, we couldn't get our cedar in the ground. We couldn't get the depths we needed. Where this one, it goes in the ground.
You know, it was a big investment, but I think to be a true research, association, you needed that, right?
Yeah.
Give you some credibility on what you're. Good. Any other questions? Well, thanks for the good work, and we look forward to seeing you guys on Friday night. That's
awesome.
We're gonna, as you're aware, probably been talking with Blake, we're gonna do a farm family board presentation.
Yes.
So.
Will it be you doing the introductions for them?
Okay.
Okay, sounds good. Then I can just introduce you to introduce them.
You bet.
Awesome.
Looking forward to it. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Can I give you the sign?
Yes. Yeah, we can take it.
Okay.
Awesome.
Great.
Thank you.
A good summer coming up for you. You want to send it with them now?
Yes.
Okay, well, we can,
Where's the back?
Last year, just we do much.
we pay for it.
We always have.
No. Except that over that student just, another day about last year. Okay, let's move down to 6.1.1. Item A is the Norm Boucher celebration invitation.
Carrie, if I could, just so council's aware, I am scheduled already to attend on behalf of PRAMP. Just so council has that information.
Well, that just made life a lot easier for us. You can bring readings from the council over there.
Yeah, I'm happy to wear 2 hats if that's what council wishes, but I will already be there.
Yeah, no, since you're gonna be there, I mean, that would be my suggestion, but that's up to council to decide, I guess. And I mean, Norm's been a longstanding businessman and community person. I guess this is kind of a recognition of that. considering that forestry is one of our biggest economic industries we have. You know, he has been embedded in forestry his whole life. Any discussion on this?
I'll move that Kalen represent.
Okay, so Councillor Reese has made a motion that Councillor Shum bring greetings on behalf of the County Northern Lights to this event. All in favor? Carried. Item B is the EDA training registration. So I see Teresa has made up a report card here for us.
Better pull the card.
So I see beauty 101, like anything below the horizontal line is something that we haven't got yet, is that?
No, they do have to make a motion. One is one before.
611B.
Hmm.
This is the training
Yeah,
course that
but
council is paying.
Yeah, I may, sorry, I jumped ahead there. Okay, so just need a motion. I think we've already designated who's attending, right?
You're all able to make it.
Pardon me?
Everybody time here, right?
I'm assuming it's gonna start this morning, but yeah, no firm time, but is there?
I believe it's 9 to 3, but I'll have a poster and stuff ready shortly after that. She'll throw us all the information.
Okay, somebody want to make that motion?
Make the motion.
Yeah, Councillor Beckman. Ones that we registered. Councillor, you take the two, man.
I can.
I guess they just need to know for registration and fees.
Pull in my report card then.
Okay, all in favor? It's carried. Now we can move to the report card. Item C. Upcoming courses.
And I'm sorry, I do not know how many courses you have to have for your certificate. I have not had a reply back. Yes,
I just, yeah, I know I need 2 more. Almost everybody's got theirs except for a few of us. I'd like to register for the regional collaboration course.
Please, I'd like to be voting.
We're short. Okay, so April 16th, 23rd and 30th, you must be there for every week or you don't pass it first. You have to be there. Because I had registered prior to it when I was sick one day, so they will take it then, so I'm gonna take it.
So they spread it over 3 days.
Yeah. It's from 1 to 2 hours or something. 3 hours. Like, those courses, because you know, no, I think they just changed the names, but that's just up, that's just my.
They sounded new to me.
Yeah, but they were, she told me that they changed the names, but you go ahead.
Okay, so let's decide what we're doing here. Who wants to register for this course? Randy, you want to take them both? That's,
No, I don't see them back out.
so that's like 6 days, right?
Is it virtual or in person?
Virtual. The one that I want to take is virtual.
I'm sure they're both virtual. I don't know where else they would have it.
For sure.
If I could just make a point of clarification, maybe we should follow up with EOP because they were renaming all of their courses. And so I think a lot of these are duplications with new names.
Yeah, I agree.
As for myself, though, I already have the certificate, so I don't need to be registered in any. Thank you.
So Brenda's taking both, you're gonna take.
Well, now I'm not sure.
Well,
Trying
well,
to figure out if I thought they were new ones.
I know when I talked to Jen the last time, the last new one they added was the CAO, and before that it was effective meetings. The rest are just getting rebranded and updated.
Okay, I guess I don't need it.
so we're not clear if they renamed these or we already have them, they just call them something different now.
Well, I know that I don't have data collected, because Jen has contacted me and said these are the two courses, and one of them was the regional collaboration, so I'd like to register for that. Thanks.
Yeah, Chair Teresa,
Okay.
Gary, not interested in it, I don't think I am because I know that one I'm not available for it.
I think like Galen said, if you have your certificate.
Yeah. Yeah, I have, and if there's some available fall convention, we'll just do it then.
Exactly.
So Gary's good, Brent,
I'll stick with economic development for now.
and Caitlin, you said which one?
I have my certificate, so I'm good. I don't need any right now. Thank you.
All right, so we'll just get a motion to register Brenda and Gloria for,
Oh, no,
not to take either one, no?
no, well, the only one I'm not really clear on is the regional collaboration, but maybe it's the regional municipal government.
Okay, so then we're just gonna register,
Yeah.
Councillor Leck and then,
Okay.
okay, all in favor? Carried.
You make money.
Yeah, I can make that one, so I thought, having somebody down for that. Okay, item eight is the fair electricity distribution alliance report, so. We've been hearing about this, at conferences and stuff, and. Just want to know if we're interested in. Becoming part of it.
I'll make the motion that we go ahead and do it at this time. There's no financial commitment, and it was my resident that pressured me to bring it forward, so. I think that there's no harm in joining the advocacy when there's no cost dollars right now.
Okay, thanks, Caleb. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Item E, the letter to council regarding more education on nuclear.
I did-
Go ahead, Kevin.
I did just want to say, like, in regards to this letter, just for full transparency, that I did receive a physical letter addressed to just the female members of council. And so we have a letter as well. I have chosen to not reply. I feel like because it was addressed to all of us that no one councillor should reply. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear and on the record that I did get a letter but have not responded.
Yeah, and you did share that letter with me, so I was aware of that. But, yeah,
So on the record, I did receive the letter as well.
Yeah, I did too, and I figured Kaylin would let me know there, so.
Yeah. so
I don't respond.
I mean, I can send a response to her on behalf of council, just, trying to answer some of these questions that she's put in here. Or are there questions or comments?
He's asking if the council would consider having Dr. Romana speak in this area. He's a prominent critic of nuclear
Yeah, no, she's. Who the else, we're,
You guys wanna speak up a little so we can hear you? And you're having a private meeting. You guys come up and sit here.
Yeah.
No, I'm not sitting there.
Well, I'm not against bringing in speakers, to be transparent and I don't know, I just feel that we bring in one speaker, we have to have a balance, that bring in a speaker like when we did with Dr. Alexander, we had Dr. Alexander and then we had someone from High Prairie, that we had both sides speaking, that, I mean, I'm not sure if that would work, but I'm not in favor of not bringing people in. And, we said that we would look at all aspects and, get as much information as we can, so that's my feeling.
so bring them in to where,
Well, into I guess to the county, into a meeting for the, I don't know, like a public meeting, I don't know how we did, what we did with Dr. Alexander, what did we do there?
there was several town halls around the region of all the members of.
Oh,
What's
well,
the right-
then maybe we can figure that out then, Rita. I'm not sure, I just feel that we need to be open-minded about this stuff and not just bring one side.
Perhaps we could have administration look into Dr. Romana and just see if he would be available, what it would cost. From there. Not committee, this. More than possibility.
I wonder if we take it back to Priya just because we're regional and we're supposed to be all doing this together and then all the communities will have the same information so nobody's getting left behind and we're taking everybody with us as we go. Just to ensure that it's fair across the board and full transparency across the board because it's going to affect more than just the county and I wonder if maybe that's a good place to take it back to.
I agree.
You can agree with that for sure.
Like I say, I mean, you said, we to bring them in, but we have to
Well,
have a plan forward, right?
For sure, yes, but not just say we're not gonna do this.
We'll investigate it, right?
Yeah,
And
for sure.
like Brad said, see, you know, what his fees would be, what it would cost, and then, but we can bring it to Priya.
But I also feel that we should have a balance, not just like on one side, we should look to see if there's somebody that could debate him or.
There was the lady from high level that was also speaking against it as well as Pat McNamara at one of them.
I've heard.
There's a professor from the University of Calgary that I've heard speak. It's very good.
Yes.
His name's Jason Donnan.
Yeah, I mean, if that's.
But if we look into it,
The municipality told us, you know, whose scientist is bigger than the other one, and we're gonna. But we can certainly, I mean, we want to be transparent, like I say.
we do want to have both sides, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Dr. Alexander became, I mean, he's been in the industry, he's got a lot of credentials and stuff. And so the speakers that were there were kind of not professionals, let's say that. So this guy, he's pretty high profile, critic of nuclear, and I think it would be worthwhile to hear what he says about it. In his lot of his criticism was around expensive and he maintains that it's not competitive with other funds managed. But I think it'd be interesting.
I just got a comment, I mean, what is council's objective with this? It's just education, or are we trying to convince the public that it's not safe? Because that is not on us to actually determine all of that. That should be on IAC and CMC. If it's just for educational purposes, I think that's.
It's only for
Uh,
educational purposes because, as noted here in the letter, 16% wanted more information, so I think, presenting a balanced presentation would be good for that.
I just want to reiterate, it was non-binding numbers and the numbers also is not going to be used in making the decision by CNSC and IAC to actually determine whether this comes to the region or not. So just
That's clear, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's right. I mean, we put as like results can be submitted to IAC. So,
as we did.
yeah, as was done, and that's all it is. It's
Yeah.
not, I mean, it's a whole.
Yeah, I just think it going back to Priya is the most appropriate thing, right? We agreed to do this as a region. That's why we joined the committee. And I think we got to bring everybody along with us if that's what we're going to do. I don't think we do anybody any favors by segregating and only educating a certain portion of the population when everybody is going to be impacted. So I think it's the most appropriate thing that we can do. And also being mindful of where our lane is as municipal elected officials, right? Like we have to stay in what is our boundary and what is our jurisdiction.
Okay, so we'll get a motion that we'll take this letter forward to Priya. Is what I'm hearing, and then we can see if we can.
I'll go ahead and make that motion and we'll make sure that we're clear that we would like a balanced approach and both sides of the story.
Okay. Okay. What do you got on there for a motion? You get another moderator now? That look good, Caleb?
I can't see the motion screen right now. If you could just read it to me, that would be great. I'm just seeing the agenda right now.
Okay, moved by Councillor Shutt to acknowledge receipt of the letter to council and have administration refer the letter to Peace Regional Energy Alliance so that as a region, we can bring a balanced approach to education and awareness.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, all in favor? You're gonna stay? I'll stay. Opposed? You're in favor of it? Yeah. Yep, and Caleb obviously, so that's carried. And then Councillor Thies, abstained. Okay, we have two additions we can get through before our NPC meeting. Item F was a pre-funding request. So we've got that as an addition. And I can just quickly go over it. Well, two things on the letter. One is on the recommendation of the consultant that Priya has engaged with for communication. Recommended a word change from Peace Regional Energy Committee to Peace Regional Energy Alliance. To just, get better at what we are. So that was approved by the committee. And then the second one was the Alliance is requesting a donation of $1,000 from each of the 8 member municipalities. Just funding from the ACP grant is not eligible for some of the expenses that we've seen in the original seed money put in by the original 5 municipalities is starting to be depleted, so we just needed a kind of a top up.
So, what's not eligible for this?
Probably the main thing would be the consultant. Is that right, Keelan? I think that the consultant we hired would not be eligible under the ACP grant.
No, that would be eligible. It's the conference fees and stuff like that is not part of it.
So Jake's, these are eligible? Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it was my understanding that Jake was okay. It was conference and educational opportunities that weren't.
Right. So for example, bringing in this guy we just talked about, this guy from BC, that would
Yeah,
not be eligible.
that's correct. Yeah, that would require our seed money to do that.
ACP grant, we could cover it under the other funding for the municipalities, so.
We don't know if that's gonna be approved. So my take on this is that this committee was formed to help progress this project. This project benefits one private company, so I have an issue with things that with that grant money, that province, I mean, anything out of that would be fine. But again, I have an issue with supplying municipal money to further the fortunes of one private company, so I wouldn't support this.
Well, but it would be covering the cost of bringing in these speakers that you guys want.
Well, the committee has not agreed to this.
Well, no, but if they do, then I wouldn't have the funding to bring them in, so.
I agree unless that's, you know, that's gonna happen. But again, all the money spent so far has been to further the interests of one company. So I don't support it on those grounds.
Any other comments?
I guess my only other thing to that is the money is low. So there is no money to do speaker engagements or education right now. So the second that this comes to PRIA for bringing in more speakers, that's going to be the first pushback that we're going to hear as a committee, is that there's no money to do it. So I would just maybe keep that in the back of your mind. If we're going to ask for educational opportunities and to further educate and learn, there needs to be money for that right now. And I absolutely think that the proponent should start stepping up for sure. But I think at the same time, until there's a move from the provincial government, it's going to be very hard for them to contribute anything. So I think in the meantime, it's on municipalities if we want to educate our population to help support that. So I would be in favor of giving the seed money this round. And then reassessing when we have some more information at the table. I mean, the nuclear engagement panel report is going to be coming out soon. We're going to have more information coming quickly, I would assume. So I think for now, I'd be okay with $1,000, but going forward, definitely, we're going to have to take a look at it, and it should go back to the proponent.
So that's your motion then, Caleb?
I would be in favor of supporting a motion that we do a one-time $1,000 donation or membership contribution, however we're going to phrase that properly.
Okay, thank you.
Membership contribution one time would probably be a better way to say it.
The letter says donation.
I would say membership donation then. I would like to make sure we have the word membership, as that's what we're tying it to, right? We are a member of that committee.
Let me see that screen.
I'm seeing the agenda, so I'll just have to get you to read it to me, Terry. Sorry.
Okay, final discussion, questions?
So, yeah, she wants you to read it for it.
Oh, she can't see it?
No.
Sorry, Brett, just wait. So moved by Councillor Shudd to acknowledge receipt of the membership funding request and support a one-time membership contribution of $1,000 to PRIA.
Yes, so is there any information that comes to the committee that is in camera or not provided to council on this proposal?
By the proponent?
Yeah, any information that comes to the Energy Committee or the Energy Alliance that is not being brought to this council?
I think it was Jukes.
Not from the opponent, we've not coming down. Jake had some comments about them that we didn't do in CAP, our consultant.
Not by the proponent.
No.
Okay, well, regardless, any information that is provided to committee, I would think would come to council, well.
If I could,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, Brent, if I could just speak to that. I know since I've been participating on the committee, I can't speak to before that, but there's nothing that council hasn't been updated on like by way of minutes or ward reports from my perspective, aside from a couple in-camera comments that were given by Jake at the last meeting. But otherwise, you have all the information that I have.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, are you abstaining on Gary? Okay, all in favor? Galen, I guess you made the motion, opposed? Okay, that's carried. Next edition we got this morning was item G, the Star Center window replacement.
So April sent us the final pricing was $13,000 and they would plus contingency, 20% contingency. There was some money left over from the upgrades they did at the arena and for the greenhouse, whatever, gas emissions. And they want to know if council would be in favor of actually moving the surplus funding from that to fund the Star Center window replacement. It was also discussed at the joint meeting.
Yeah, no, to me, it's kind of a no-brainer. Otherwise, you'll lose that money from the arena upgrading, lighting upgrading. It's probably not reallocated, so this would cover that off at no expense to the municipality. Any questions on clarification on that, what we're doing? Because we were named on the grant, right? So that's why they want a motion from us. So just need a motion.
Take that motion.
Okay, off the record, make that motion that we agree to reallocate the funds. So we've got the main grant sewer.
Reallocation,
Yeah, see, it should be. Okay, Kalen, so a motion by Councillor Decken to acknowledge receipt of the Star Center window replacement report and authorize the reallocation of $13,056, including a 20% contingency for the window replacement at the Star Center.
Perfect. I'm in favor. Thank you.
Put the word replacement in there. Okay, all in favor? It's carried. Okay, I'll adjourn our regular meeting and I'll turn it over to our chair of our MPC. We got online or the doorbell is the deal. That was it.
Okay, I'll call the MC meeting to order at 11 a.m. Move to the adoption of the agenda and we contribute to the agenda. Seeing none, can I have a motion to approve the agenda as adopted? Carrie, please, Councillor, please, all in favor, carried. Move over to the adoption of the minutes of the March 24th meetings. Any reservations?
All those adoptions.
Councillor Yasinski, all in favor, carried. 4.1B1 DP-26-07. Looks like Gail, you're going to present that for us.
Yes, I am. Thank you. Good morning. So the applicant, on behalf of the landowner, proposes the installation of a 153.33 square meter or 1650.43 square feet, 31 kilowatt DC and a 30 kilowatt AC ground mounted photovoltaic solar panel system to be located on a 60.1 hectare or 148.51 acre parcel on Southeast 299023 west of the 5th. The parcel is zoned Agriculture General A District. A ground-mounted solar panel system greater than 56 meter squared is a discretionary use in the A district. The photovoltaic solar transformer, which is part of the solar system, will be pad mounted and connected to an existing farm splitter located on an existing cabinet that will house the main service disconnect. The system does not require a connection to an existing ACO pole. An interconnection and operating agreement is in place between ACO Energy Systems and the landowner to allow connection of their system, and specifically the inverter-based generation facility to ACO Electric Limited's distribution system. The parcel southeast of 2990-23 west of the 5th is at the northwest corner of Township Road 904 and Range Road 234, 2 kilometers south of North Star and 9 kilometers southeast of Manning town limits. Buchanan Creek runs along the southern boundary of the quarter section and is heavily treed on both sides of the creek. A 3.51 hectare or 8.68 acre farmstead parcel is located in the southwest corner of the quarter section. A second farmstead site containing a residence and farm buildings is located in the northeast portion of the quarter section. The proposed solar system is located within the farmstead. The balance of the quarter section is in agriculture production. Access to the residential site is in the northeast, and to the quarter section are from Range Road 234, which has a residential road classification. The land use bylaw requires development permit approval for all solar panel systems located within the A district, which are greater than 56 m squared or 602.8 square feet. The proposed system will contain 4 panels, have a total height of 4.75 meters or 15.59 feet, are 32.28 meters or 105.90 feet in length, for a total size of 153.33 square meters or 1650.43 square feet. The base of the solar system will be secured to the ground via helical piers. The A district requires setbacks of 41 meters or 131 feet from the local road or the front property boundary, and 15.2 meters or 50 feet from both side and rear yard boundaries. The proposed system meets all requirements outlined in the A district. The application was circulated to adjacent landowners and referral agencies. Responses were received from Alberta Energy Regulator, Alberta Forestry and Parks, Pembina Pipeline Corporation, and TELUS, indicating they have no concerns. The county's Public Works Department has advised that he has no concerns, but requested that a condition be included requiring the applicant to enter into a road use agreement with the county for any industrial traffic generated because of the proposed development. No responses were received from other referral agencies or adjacent landowners. It is recommended that the application for the location of 153.33 meters squared or 1650.43 square feet, 31 kilowatt DC and a 30 kilowatt AC ground-mounted photovoltaic solar panel system on southeast of 2990-23 west of the 5th, with the base secured to the ground via helical piers, be approved, subject to the 9 conditions outlined.
Thank you, Gail. Any questions from council for Gail? Seeing none, motion to approve the development. Councillor Reese. All in favor? Carried. We adjourn the meeting at 11:05.
Okay, thank you.
Night.
Okay, reconvene our regular meeting. We have another delegation due in 10 minutes, so we can move to 6.1.2. Item A is a CEO report. If I got mine before. So we need to keep it.
Oh, maybe that's why you have them all and none of us do. Sorry.
It's an important one.
Making sure. So yeah, we attended the joint council meetings. Some of the items that we discussed there is discussed with the Chamber of Commerce to see if they would be interested in doing the Manning Expo. I'm attending the meeting, I think it's tomorrow night at 6 o'clock at the Chamber. You saw the RFD for the Windows for the Star Center. I just want to reiterate, there's the website available where you can do some online training for AI. That's that www.albertaaiacademy.com. We attended the interprovincial meeting. We decided in the end to go for the virtual option and not brave the snow. And some of the items that was discussed was in terms of reference. There was a sea and rail opportunities update, some interprovincial barriers on meat supply and processing cross border, and some concerns about medical professionals, just in Alberta and not just the northwest Alberta problem. It's also a BC problem, is what we've been told. Some waste to energy, it was quite interesting. There was an update from Amber Bean on the Northwest species at risk, and then Emily de Jong gave us an update on the nuclear panel that she's on, and that the first draft will be out by the end of March. Hasn't been released to the public, but I think they have presented it to the province. We did some update or training, I don't know what you want to call it, from the Lapu mass victimization incident. That was quite interesting to see how a community worked together in a mass victimization incident. It never happens to us, but some quite good insights they gave us there. We had a quarterly update from Energy Alberta on project overview. They gave us the IPD submission was unpaused, so it's continuing again. So that's the notice of commencement, and an update on the siting. They said it would be released by the end of March. The last I had is that they haven't made that decision yet, and they're moving it forward with a few weeks or months. And then there was also, so they are busy doing some upcoming field work they are starting to do. It's a various tests or whatever. Some includes the geotechnical investigation, wildlife surveys, hydrology, air quality, terrain and soils, vegetation, riparian and wetlands, aquatics, light surveys, visual, noise, archaeological, community event participation, and then also socio-economic work group. They are starting in, I think, a week's time. We're having our first meeting on it. Then we met with Yardstick to see how we're going to make council's life easier, I hope, with the SharePoint. So that's coming within the next few weeks, I would say. I had my kickoff meeting with separation of services with the Peachville Fire Department and us in the south there. We started identifying some shared assets, and we are from our side, from the fire department side, trying to put together a list, and then Jim from his side is also trying to put together a list for us of what is the shared capital items and how we're going to approach that going forward. We had a joint ECC meeting with the town of Manning to discuss potential flooding in town. Town of Manning said they're good. They do not need any assistance at the moment with that one. Went with government frameworks. Council got briefed on that one today too. We did some media training with Jake Pastori, which I think was really quite good. I think it would be really worthwhile for the rest of council also to eventually attend and do that type of training. And then we had an internal emergency conversation about potential flooding in the county as well, just so we're ready for that one. I hope it continues to go slowly down as it is at the moment. And now a 25-degree all of a sudden one, although I would love the 25 degrees. So it's a bit of a mixed emotion there. And that is my report.
Okay, thanks, Gary. Questions on the yardstick SharePoint? Can you just kind of enlighten us what that's going to be?
So that would be a online version of all your council packages, whether it's the minutes of the previous meeting, all those type of things that we will put into a folder for you guys. So it would be an easy access of all the information.
Policies
And then
and
we'll,
bylaws.
and then that was my next question. So we'll come to council and see what is it that you want, because all the policies and bylaws are available on the website as well at the moment. But if you guys want that, we can make it offline available or online available, whatever is the easiest way council of that one to. So if you need to see the
Forms as well, so your guys' expense claim forms and anything else that you regularly get. The goal is just to have a centralized repository for you.
and
guys.
as it always have the latest version of it also with the correct rates and those type of things.
Yeah.
So it should be easier to.
And really just it gets rid of the need to have to consistently email things back and forth. It's just you'd be able to upload your stuff right there and modify it and have it there. So we can pull it, update forms just by uploading a new one. And your packages gets rid of the issues we have when somebody puts an 80-page budget report on your agenda and we can't email it in one email. So it's that kind of issue.
Like the full day of training for us.
It's simple.
So I mean, I think like the policies, for example, binding this thick right now, that never gets, well, I mean, we get up. A lot of times those updates just get put on the shelf, don't get put in the binder. So this would be really nice if it could be all at our fingertips, right?
Yeah,
And
they
then,
find all the time.
well, good for you.
And it's cheap, like it's really, we're using the yardstick to set it up, but the licenses for the software are already there with everybody, so it's gonna be used through Teams. It's easy to teach you guys how to use.
Then we'll talk about this. The presentation we have this morning, we'll talk about that later. Yeah. All right, any other questions for the CEO report? The motion to accept for information. Brenda, Councillor Sinski, all in favor? Carried. I think the next delegation I see is online now. Do you have any material for them?
That's the materials.
You know, that or something to go with the presentation? You do it in front of you.
Four C.
We'll see who's right. Yep, there it is. Okay, let's move to 4.0. Item C, we have a presentation from Circular Materials. So who do we have online? Do we have both these fellows, Blair and Cody?
Nope, you just have Blair. I'm Blair.
Okay, sorry, Blair.
Yeah, no, no worries, no worries.
So, good morning, Blair. Council will give a quick introduction, and then we can turn it over to you for your presentation. So we'll start down on the far end here.
Brett Reeve, never from the valley.
Teresa Tupper, Executive Assistant.
I'm Gareth Stickling, I'm the CEO. Welcome.
Terry Ungarian, I represent Hotchkiss Hawk Hills.
Gloria Deccan, North Star Breaking Point.
Brenda Usinski, Dixonville, Shin Valley.
Gary Days, Ward 1, Weberville area.
We have Councillor online,
Kaylin Chuck, I represent Ward 2.
and we have some other administration.
Josh Hunter, Director of Finance. And Charles Schwab, Director of Public Works.
So good morning, Blair, and I'm looking forward to your presentation.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for having me. I'm Blair Gaulis. I'm Managing Director for Alberta and the Yukon for Circular Materials. Cody, my assistant, he did just send in an updated presentation. I'm assuming this is the one that was prepared in the package. So is that correct? I'm not sure who's managing those things.
You can also share from your side if you want to make
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I think it would be helpful just because I added a couple last second things I was presenting to the council at Wembley last night, and I thought there would be a helpful addition. Here we go. Yeah, let me know if you can see that.
Coming.
Get rid of that sidebar.
There we go.
Is that good for you folks?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, great. I'm just going to keep it in this mode, not the presentation mode. Okay, thanks. I'm going to keep this really brief. I'm here to answer questions and help you folks understand what we're doing and who we are and why you should be talking with us. And I will leave lots of time for questions. This is a quick intro on who Circular Materials is. We're called a producer responsibility organization, and we're here and we've been created by producers to meet extended producer responsibility regulations across Canada. Alberta is one of the late responders to EPR. And just so you know, I'm a born and raised Albertan in the Strathcona County area. So this is definitely my territory, and I've been in this field for the last 25 years. Circular Materials is a nonprofit organization. We have a board of directors that are producers. And when we talk about producers, we talk about food, beverage, restaurants, consumer product manufacturers, retailers. And that's groups like Clorox, Maple Leaf, McDonald's, Loblaws, Nestle, Kraft, Costco. So I just want to give you the feel who's behind this. Under extended producer law, producers must adopt and manage paper and packaging recycling across Alberta. And that's why we're here to do that. And logically, what that looks like is us working with all of the communities in Alberta to establish contracts, either on their behalf or with them directly, to manage curbside services and depot services. We're also regulated by the Alberta Recycling Management Authority. You guys know them, I'm sure, as ARMA, if you do know them. And they ensure we are doing the right things, that we're delivering the things that we say we're going to do. And one of the most important factors is that we are actually managing the material, recycling it with an evidence chain. So it's no more fake recycling stuff. I'm not going to walk you through all of these things. I just put them in here as a reference. And what this is, the list of paper and packaging materials is really big. And what I think, if you're familiar with recycling in these materials, you'll quickly understand that if it's done correctly, you will reduce your garbage stream significantly. So there's 3 pages. I'm not going to walk you through all of the items, but this gives you a look at how many products this system does include. I can make sure that you guys have this. I think Cody has sent this presentation over to you. It's a very robust system. This gives you a look at what we are doing within what timeline. Last year, as of April 1, we had to adopt contracts and systems. We had about 94% of Alberta communities register, and we arranged services for them. That was over 1 million households, so a big portion of the population. We entered into many contracts to establish what currently existed in Alberta. We didn't make many changes. We have a phase coming up called phase 2. That's as of October 1. That's where you guys come in. October 1, 2026. Right now, we have actually over 98% of all Alberta communities registered and ready to participate, either actively participating in this or about to participate in this as of October 1. Some of the big lifts that we're doing is we're adding over 170 new curbside services for paper and packaging. Like you see the carts, Northern Alberta often use blue bags, so that we will have those systems available to those residents free of charge. as of October 1. We're also including things like multifamily and depots. I know you guys are a depot system, but multifamily buildings are eligible to register with circular materials, and then we plan a service for them directly with their building to collect their PPP materials as well. So this is you guys. County of Northern Lights, you guys registered according to ARMA in February of 2025. This means for you guys, I believe you do not have any PPP, paper and packaging materials, being collected for recycling yet. And then we'll establish that for you for the first time in October at the Keg River landfill. I also know that there's some intricacies with a waste commission and a conversation piece there. So we can talk about that and I can answer any questions that you have. What this means right now in this conversation is a couple of things. We will pay to establish a PPP bin, preferably protected or locked or with slats to control what materials go into that bin, because as you are probably aware, residents will offload garbage anywhere they can. And it's very expensive to collect garbage in PPP as contamination. So we want to reduce those types of costs. One of the things we're changing to in all of Alberta is called single stream. So every location in Alberta through either curbside or their depot will collect all the materials all together. Glass and cardboard and metal and plastics and you name it. Anything that's categorized as PPP will be put in the same bin. And why this is possible is because we're investing hundreds of millions of dollars into post-collection systems. We know them as MRFs, but they're now called preconditioning facilities. And we're using all sorts of fancy technology like AI sorters and definitely moving away from manual systems so that we can sort all of the materials into the specific streams and move it into the recycling market. And again, we can't fake recycle, we must prove and we must measure and we must have accountability such as auditing to ensure that we're actually doing these things to create a circular economy. One of the other things that we're going to do on your behalf is promotion and education called P&E on this screen. And that means that we will inform your residents of how to recycle, what goes into PPP recycling and where they can find the locations for your community. And we'll have an app available in our website and other materials on your behalf and on Alberta's behalf. It'll be a provincial plan. And so it's pretty thoughtful and comprehensive. Ultimately, we will collect your materials depending on the type of agreement we establish with you. Maybe you guys help us with the collection and you transfer the materials to a receiving facility for us, or maybe we get an operator to bring in a bin at a selected location in your municipality to collect those materials or at this depot site, and then we move the materials where we need them to go. Ultimately, we're trying to create scale here. This is the first time in Alberta's history that we've had a provincial program for recycling of PPP material. We're just measuring the system now. We have lots of work to do in Alberta to increase our recycling and our recycling rates, but we will get there. One of the benefits we have as a company, as a nonprofit managing, we can't be vertically integrated, so we own and operate nothing. So there's no concerns about us trying to profit or make money or design systems that are poorly delivered so we don't have to pay as much. We want quality services happening in every community, but we don't have to abide by municipal boundaries. And this is the real conversation piece that I think you guys might find interesting in terms of waste commission and communities and the way it's been done in the past. There over some years, no pressure to change, but over years, we will have different conversations about what that can look like and different access points and why we're doing what we're doing. Ultimately, we hope your residents will recycle and we can get that material back. It's a goal. We have something in regulation called material management requirements. And that is a measure not of how much we collect, but how much we recycle. In order to achieve them, we need everybody to participate. They're pretty aggressive. You have two lovely ladies on my team that are dedicated to your file and that have been talking to you, your staff, Michelle and Janet. And this is their contact information. We just make that available, but they are also there to answer any questions. So that's the general presentation. I can help you, if I can help you understand anything, I will.
Thanks, Blair. Questions? So I'm a little confused, like you talked about the King River landfill, is that gonna be the point for recycling, or are we not gonna use our Long Lake landfill commission that we're part of?
Yeah, I think actually, let me pull up. I think there's some interesting dynamics with you guys.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the Keg River landfill is the only one that the county owns and operates ourselves.
Right.
So recycling, we're busy with Michelle to do a contract up where they would start doing the recycling for us up at the Keg River landfill site. For the rest of the county, they are in conversation with the Long Lake Regional
Waste management.
Waste management, long acronym there, to do the recycling in the rest of the county.
Yeah, I've been in touch with Michelle. I'm the county rep on the Long Lake Landfill Commission. And we were trying to get together to figure out a time to do a presentation like this to the commission members. And but my question for you was, seeing as how like the landfill commission is not registered, so seeing as how the county has registered and is getting ready to be set up for it, would the Long Lake Commission's transfer station, which most of them are in the county, be able to fall under the county, or would we have to register separately?
Yeah, there's a lot of technicalities there. The intention of the regulation was for communities to sign up. But what was quickly learned is that waste commissions have been a long time established and under bylaw for municipalities make a lot of the decisions in relation to recycling and garbage collection. So we allowed also through the regulator waste commissions to sign up on behalf of communities. In your situation, as you indicated, the Long Lakes Regional Waste Management Services Commission has not registered for EPR. And so that is far, or have the individual communities. But I think that waste commission manages 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 staffed depot sites in different communities. They're all transfer stations, which is fantastic. So it would be really beneficial for them to sign up on behalf of the communities that they're serving so that we can work towards providing payment for and PPP recycling at those transfer stations. But that they would need to register.
You likely wouldn't use all the transfer stations, but definitely three of them for our communities in the county. There's also the town of Grimshaw.
Town of Merlin.
Or Northside.
Well, I just,
Town of Manning will probably have curbside.
They do.
Okay, yeah, town of Manning's already on it, I think.
Yeah, town of Grimshaw, County of Northern Lights, town of Manning, Village of Berwyn, Municipal District of Peace, number 135. So those are in already, communities within the commission that have some form of service in some way.
We'll say, okay, so you're saying because the landfill commission manages those sites, then the commission would be the one to register.
Yeah, and exactly. And I'm saying it's sort of backwards in my mind, but I'm also not trying to disturb, how things are done. But in my opinion, if communities want service, you should be talking with your waste commissions if they have those controls, and maybe you're represented here as well. I'm not sure who's exactly in the room, but it's a great opportunity because how this program works is that under law, my company, must service your community. So and we want to, because we want to get the product back. So that means that we will pay for our portion of any service. Depots are never exactly black and white, because often at depots you collect garbage and you collect other things like hazardous materials or other sort of stewardship programs like paint and oil and all that kind of stuff, depending on what you guys do. So we pay for our portion of PPP recycling, and we just look at it based on tonnage and those things. So it's worth it. We would establish, if the commission would come forward, we could establish a deal so that these communities, if you're paying in to use those centers for PPP recycling or for anything going forward, you wouldn't have to pay for that service. We would do that on your behalf. And let me just establish one more thing for you folks. If any of your communities have curbside garbage collection, that's the marker that tells me that you qualify for curbside PPP services. So if you introduce that and you want curbside PPP services, all you need to do is indicate that to us. And then within 18 months of telling us that, I have to establish a program for you free of charge.
So, I mean, our municipality is rural, right? So that's probably, I mean, that's more for the urbans. So what I'm hearing, and the first thing we've got to do is get the commission to, sign on to this, right? So I don't know, you got meeting is, or if you've discussed this already, or?
No, our meeting is April, towards the end of the month.
Oh, so it's coming up soon.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely bring it forward there. And then, like for hamlets. I mean, yeah.
But that's something we can investigate, maybe in the south, in the subdivisions, those type of thing, we can maybe look at something like that. But it's not that we provide an additional service now to collect the other waste. So we might set an expectation that they want us to then do curbside collection of the other waste as well.
Right.
But I mean, my question, if I may, is to Brenna, do you anticipate any pushback from Long Lake on this, or?
I don't think the members would be against it.
I think so.
Or union?
I mean, it's all gonna be provided for us.
Well, everybody's been looking.
And and then you said everything goes in one bin.
You got it. Sorting.
Sorting at the site, so that would lessen any responsibility on the operator there.
I think the only probably burden on the operator would be to make sure that they don't put any organic material or something like that in there.
Right.
Yeah, there's a big list of what is not PPP, right? So it's important that, that we have sort of that, put all those PPP materials together and we'll take them for you. Yeah.
So I mean, these bins would be set up at the transfer stations, right?
Exactly.
Landfill.
No, I think just the transfer stations.
That's what I would suspect. Just the
That's
transfer
where most-
stations.
But what about the people living in the area of the actual landfill?
Yeah.
So they then drive all the way up to a transfer station to go and dump their recycling.
Well, usually for the people that come to the main site, it's usually larger items that don't go to the transfer stations. I don't know anyone that just takes their bags garbage to the land.
But we're happy to establish it there, folks, as well. Keg River Landfill. That's the one we're actively talking about, because that's the only depot managed by the County of Northern Lights. So, and when we say depot, for us, it means a garbage collection site. And our reg tells us that we have to establish at least as many PPP collection sites as you have garbage collection sites. So that's kind of, and it doesn't mean it has to be perfect. If you want less or it doesn't make sense, we can talk about that.
So what do we currently have? Like we have Hawk Hills, we have North Star, we have Weberville.
Weberville, North Star, Dixonville. Sunny Valley.
So we're pretty well covered then.
And Deadwood,
Deadwood.
yeah, Hawk Hills. Yeah, I think we have a list of them. The process is actually quite simple. You know, if we can have the Waste Commission with any of you folks, completely transparent process, no secrets, come forward. We can just talk about what we could pay them to establish a bin and transferring that material. You know, and we have contracts. And the contracts talk about, watch the contamination, and you have to report in because we want to know how much tonnage to expect and where it's moving to. It's pretty simple stuff, but then we would supplement the cost of that and get you on your way.
So, our grain bags, I'm assuming are covered in this as well?
Sorry, where?
Grain bags, is that part of this, recycling grain bags?
Oh, like blue bags.
Yeah, well, the big grain storage bags that are problem in rural areas.
Oh,
like
grain bags. I'm sorry.
grain.
My apologies. No, actually, because that's considered agricultural waste. And so this is residential. So what you would have in your house. Yeah.
So that's not covered at all, and this is just residential.
Yeah, they haven't made a law for that yet. I know there's lots of advocacy on it.
Yeah, because it's a big problem.
Huge.
Rural
Yeah.
areas.
Yeah, I think they're waiting to see if these programs go well, to be honest. Yeah. Yeah, but it does include things like, for you guys, all the flexible plastics that, you bundle all your pop and water bottles in, and your chip bags, your dog food bags, glass containers, metal containers, every form of plastic you can think of. It's very, very comprehensive. All cardboard, paper packaging, paper products make, so the list is huge.
So you said, this is a thing, who gets the money?
Okay, so whoever is operating those sites, so we do both things. We establish arrangements with communities themselves, municipalities, and we could establish it with the Waste Commission as well. If they're operating those sites and you're currently paying into that structure, then that's maybe the logical solution. We would compensate them to ensure that your residents have access to PPP recycling at all of those transfer stations. But you guys would have to determine what that looked like for you as an exchange between your Waste Commission and your municipalities.
Well, it'd be interesting how we locate these bins because, first of all, Long Lake has to buy into it, which I don't see a problem. I think all members are waiting for this, but there was recycle bins previously from the town of Manning. They paid for them, this wasn't through the circular. And they took everything in one bin, cardboard, glass, tin cans, everything went in there. And it was kind of a nice service because it was 24/7, it was available. They were not in a fenced location. You could take you come to town to get your mail, you can dump your recycles off. So now if we put them at the transfer stations, it's gonna kind of limit how that works. So I don't know if there's gonna be an opportunity to have those bins.
I think it's Terry, is that you speaking? But the problem with that for us is that residents and community members will use any bin for garbage. It's always the name of the game is to get rid of your stuff. And so we can't have controls around PPP and producers, that list that I was talking about earlier, pay for these programs. So they've established it now in Alberta. We've taken over all these contracts. We're talking about millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. And we can't be collecting garbage or non-PPP products, so paper and packaging products, in those bins. It's very, very expensive. Those other manufacturers don't have to pay for those services, just these guys. So it's really important that we have controls around contamination.
Yeah, no, I get it. If people are gonna use it like that, then that's.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And that's why the transfer stations are ideal, because they do have operating hours and they have some gates. You have now and again a set of eyes, not all the time, but just saying, hey, PPP over there, garbage over here.
Well, it'll be definitely better than what we got now, because we have nothing now.
Yeah.
Everything goes.
I know, we'd really like to get in there and provide this. So we want to make it as easy as possible.
Any other questions? Well, seeing none, thanks Blair for the update, and we look forward to working with you.
Okay, good. Just reach out, whomever is responsible for Waste Commission or can communicate. We would be happy to take a meeting with that group and to move that forward too.
Yeah, like I said, Councillor Yasinski is our representative there, so she will definitely be bringing us forward, I'm sure.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much, folks. You have a good day.
Yeah, you too.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Let's quickly run through the check registers. 6.1.5 under finance, and then we'll take a break for lunch. And we've got one quick in camera thing before we go into the budget. It'll just be really quick. So item A, January payment register. Any questions on that?
Maybe why is there some highlighted? That was just a reporting issue that we needed to sort out when the auditors were here. So there was a couple highlighted that just represent their own group payments. Other than that, it's the normal standard report you guys see every month. So that's everybody who we paid through the month of January.
There's no questions. Give a motion to accept the January check register.
I can make that one.
No, you can do January, Brent can get that little concert fees. All in favor? Carried. Item B is the February payment register.
Not really any new comments to provide other than that's for the month of February. Thanks for clearing that up.
I'll move it. Okay, Councillor Reese, got that one. All in favor? Carried. And then we can do the bank reconciliation for January, item C.
Here for your adoption as always.
I'll move exceptions.
Okay, Councillor Yasinski. We'll skip that the January bank reconciliation. All in favor? Carried. Jill, I'm assuming you're in favor of all this. Item D is the February bank reconciliation. Same thing, any comments? Okay, Councillor Lecter moves to accept that. All in favor? It's carried. So we'll save the item E for after lunch. But before we break, I'll just give a quick in camera. So you all move the camera. All Yasinski, all in favor? So you can keep everybody offline except you. All right, we'll continue on page 1 of the agenda, 6.1.5, item E, is operating and capital budget.
I'll come. You can berate me physically with your questions.
Fill up the agenda.
Yeah, you're welcome. Just wanted to make it look as big and as important as it is. So presentation wise, it's here in the same fashion that it was the last couple of times we've talked about it. As far as comments go, I've just indicated things that have changed since the last time we looked at it. Most of that, or all of that rather, was related to the capital side of things. So we have some, I use some acronyms, but CCBF, Canada Community Building Fund or something like that. We had some grant money that was unused that was going to expire. So we've been trying to find projects that we had slated for upcoming budget years that would fall under the eligible expense categories for that. So luckily the window replacement project would, so we're using that. We'll also be utilizing some of our shoulder pull budget offset with that as well. We've got to get that application in still. The other one, and I think it just totally on me, I missed it the first go around, shop security fencing at Warrensville. So that's been built in there as well. And then I haven't brought you, I know the last few years we've done this and the mill rate and the financial statements kind of all in the same meeting, which gets to be super exciting for all of you. I'm ready, or I was ready as of yesterday with the mill rates, pending a discussion with the education department of the government, just to see how we can handle the Mercer appeal decisions on that front. So North Peace Housing has paid us back. DIP built the credit right into their requisition. They're the last piece of the puzzle. And I just want to make sure we catch, I was hoping to have that caught and corrected the first go around instead of having to push it back and deal with it later. I've not yet got a meeting solidified with those guys, and we're kind of running out of time. So next meeting is the last meeting that we can view that. Worst case scenario, it'll just be dealt with the following year, I guess. Before we started the meeting today, I had told you that for what is shown in this budget that you guys are looking at, if we look at all of the assessment information, our mill rates would require a 0.86% increase to meet the proposed cash requirements. Following the discussion we just had earlier, if you were going to fund that proposal through there, would actually jump up to 1.5%.
1.5.
Yeah.
1.5 total.
Yeah, as a percent of the mill rate, right? Which at the end of the day, most municipalities use just inflation as a guide. So if you're looking at that, we're still under that level. And actually in a lot of areas of spending, we've kind of maintained or in some instances reduced, but our overall assessment data was also down overall as a total. And you guys will get that full report at the next meeting. I think I showed you last meeting a snapshot maybe of what it was. And then the only other thing that will change when this turns into the absolute final after our mill rate is I kind of on the 5-year summary. So on page 5 of the report gives you a net total at the bottom, and that net total still is just equal to the net cash requirements for operating. Down a little bit more, Teresa. The one that says page 5 on the bottom. Yeah. Down, down, down.
Mine says page 5.
Yeah, that's because I have a cover page. Yeah. So right there. So in the final version that will go up, I'm not going to show a net deficit of $16.5 roughly $million. That's illustrative purposes for you guys to show you the taxes that we require to fund these operations. So all that changes is I just populate the tax revenue in there once we set our mill rate bylaw. That was really the only things that have changed. So I'm happy to talk through any areas or questions that council might have. If you scroll just to the section before this, Teresa, the executive summary is kind of useful just to show you guys where your money's being spent. One more page. Yeah. Sorry, two. One more. So this just breaks down kind of in a few stages. So you'll see that 16.497 million cash requirements for operating. So it was a minor increase of 0.2% over last year. The next line below that, 1.4 million roughly required for debt principal repayment. So as long as we don't take on any new debentures, our total repayments will only change if we bring on new debt or once one is paid in full. The amount stays the same for repayments. What does change is the allocation to principal over interest. So as our balances decrease, the interest decreases. Principal portion will be more. So you'll see an increase there, but the operating expense of interest on those debentures decreases to the same extent.
Stays the same.
But the total fixed amount stays the same, except when a debenture is paid in full or we take on a new one. We did have one paid in full last year. After that, just total funds required for capital projects. So we had 3.9 million, and then it breaks down. So we've got 2.9, and what is always the most significant portion of that for us, funded by grants. The different grants are annotated below. STIP obviously being contingent. I don't think we heard back yet on the applications. And then taxation portion of that, that's in bold as well. And then just to note there, that does see us spend our entire LGFF grant allocation. And then that note's a little old, but we had the only project that was eligible for CCBF on the capital project list is now included. That was the building windows. And in talks with their program administrators, we're going to use the rest of that year that's expiring to offset the costs of some of the shoulder pull budget. We've talked through what is required to make that eligible as well. And Charles and I feel that we can make that fit as well. So then the very last one there is just so your total cash requirements, all of those things added up together. And net taxes is $19.124 million, which is actually a slight decrease over last year. But again, assessment overall also decreased. So that's why you're seeing a proposed increase in mill rates potentially. So that's kind of the high level.
So say hypothetically that we had to do a tax deferral for somebody, a huge one, that's not incorporated in this rate.
No, not necessarily. No, the tax that you levy would still be the same. You would just set up when you actually see that cash. So what would happen in practice is you would rely on money that you have in your reserves to fund your current operations, and then just expect collection of that in the future. Yeah.
That's what I kind of foresaw and just wanted.
Yep.
This is just hypothetical, right?
Yep, absolutely.
You said our rate went down, or
Assessment
went down?
Yeah, overall it did. I can show you kind of the. So overall, as a net total, all of the different classes, it's actually down 3.75%. Biggest changes being the DIP things down 15%. Yeah. And remember, a lot of that stuff too, especially the linear and the DIP properties, they're all set in a way where they're captured, and then barring no significant upgrades or changes, they actually depreciate fairly linearly. So you can expect those to go down over time, whereas residential seems to be the opposite, no matter what we argue about with the assessor. So for instance, our residential assessment overall up 6.92%, and 23 are actually a net of 20-ish properties that we gained. So and 6% is 14.2 million. So obviously that whole change is not related solely to building new houses. It's market valuation of everything creeping up. Farmland, I think they've started discussions on another assessment model review. The assessed values on farmland remains the same since 1995, I believe, going from memory, so it remains unchanged at this point in time.
So you mentioned what was it, 1.5% increase? That
would be with factoring in our last discussion there as well, including that proposal.
That would be increase equal across all classes.
Yeah, and that's just for illustrative purposes, so you can have that in mind when you're passing the budget. Obviously, when we look at mill rate proposals, I have the same template I've had. We can look at a fair percentage increase across every class, or we can look at placing a higher emphasis on one over the other. Hoping to be able to bring back some discussion about minimum tax levy as well, because that's going to see some changes this year with the impact of grazing leases and the master rolls being enforced again. I just don't have the ability to get that easily at this point in time.
On the question on page 4 there, on the administration side,
Which one? This page here?
page 4. Page 4.
Yeah.
It's page 4.
I'm there though. You're looking at the 5-year summary.
Why is it not for 2029 and 2030 only budgeted at 9,500? And then the revenue.
That's when our LGFF operating grant expires. So as of right now, they do, I believe it's 5-year agreements for that, and then the agreement expires. If you're willing to tell me what you think the government will do there, what I do for illustrative purposes and to catch this is that's when your grant expires. So like as of right now, there's no obligation of them to continue it. Likely they will in some capacity, but I haven't the foggiest idea what that will look like. So I like to cut it out just for a clear stop of here's something important happening and the implications it would have. Yep. No, good question.
It's quite substantial.
I also do that so I can leave easy questions for you guys to catch and ask.
Yeah, I think it's like, no, but that's on the revenue side.
Yeah, that's on the revenue side, exactly.
The economic development is also like.
It fluctuates, and that one is related to the trade show was every 2 years, so you'll see the expenses and the revenue do that, and it's almost an equal offset, not quite, but it varies that budget fairly substantially. It's I think about $34,000 total to do that on the expense side, and I think it brings in 25,000 in revenue.
So fire,
Yeah. Fire, you guys are springing more fun on me. I don't comfortably know what our agreements moving into the future are gonna look like, so this captures what's in place for this year. And then it's just got that in place for right now. More or less, I think
Not
that,
changing for this year.
no, so this year's amounts are gonna be held constant and the agreement we have in place is good. Next year, like in all reality, your budget might not change significantly. It's just a matter of how that money is allocated. So rather than us paying other municipalities for fire support services, we're just going to be incurring costs on all of the actual expenses directly.
yeah, that was kind of the hope, right? That
Yep.
there's a little more control of what we're spending.
Yeah, and as you dig deeper, like, so this is the high level 5-year forecast. Each area of every department has its own piece in this document. Fire, there will be a note on there alluding to that. There's just kind of the individual notes there, things that we've talked about for a number of months now leading up to this. But at the end of the day, really there's no significant program changes, except today we learned no more snow plowing revenue or expenses. So obviously that's not been factored in here either. Grand scheme of your budget, that is quite minor. But
And so that other item we talked about earlier.
it not in here right now, but I did some calculations over lunch to let you know what it would be.
Yeah,
If you
did say, but probably combined with the overall mill rate increase, you know, that'll bring it to a total of 1.5.
Yep, which still falls better than a lot of the news stories I'm hearing out in the province, but I've heard anywhere from 5% increases people are looking at to, I think Calgary was like 12.5.
I know about another municipality in the south that is substantially
Yeah.
more than that. There was a list of
Yeah. And there is still like some impacts that could happen. There's been no adjustments to the utility rates contained within here. A lot of it is estimates anyway, so there's going to be some wiggle room. But if changes happen there, that could happen. We just haven't built in any increases to our rates because the other two municipalities we source our water from haven't indicated that there's any changes happening at this point in time. That would be water supply and distribution.
Is ICF's municipal agreements, what does that fall under?
Council's budget, yeah.
So.
Yeah, and so if you drill down, so page 7 would show those. So those are buried in, just wait until Teresa gets there. So the bottom line that's not bolded is all of your ICF agreements and a few other things that are categorized as grants to individuals or other organizations or governments.
Because those current agreements are expiring.
Yep.
So you know what.
And
Expectations are from the other side, but you know what our side is. So.
Yep. And all of those agreements we have in place would be, we continue at the last level until you've renegotiated as a default. So they're in there at what the level would be expected to be at this point in time.
Or less.
Just a question with the mill rate or the potential mill rate increase only 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
Would it not be, let me rephrase that, would there be any, for example, capital budget items in the next few years that can maybe start taxing sooner while we only have a 1.5% increase? Maybe start building a reserve for those things like I see there's some funding available or some reserve available for the airport, for example. Mm-hmm. Maybe some of the other capital items that we can budget for over a few years.
We absolutely could. And those would, I guess, ultimately come back just at the mill rate discussion. So next meeting. The goal for this was just to show you what you needed as a minimum to meet these requirements without relying on reserve drawings at all. So just to give you guys a baseline, I guess. That's why I like to do them in the same meeting, Gerhard. But obviously waiting on one pretty big piece there of adjustments to hammer out with the government, which is fun.
No rate increases are never popular.
Well, it's more popular now than in an election, for example. And also when we have that, all of a sudden, we need that capital items pushed through now, and then there's a substantial increase where we go.
And we've always had that discussion. Do you little bit incrementally, or do you get it with one big one?
And it's further complicated because you have some aspects of it that are out of your control, so that our actual schooling requisition was up about 7.75%. So I mean, until I'm instructed on how to best handle our appeal decision, as of right now, people are already going to notice that individually on their tax notices. They're going to get hit with that, blame us, even though none of that money is ours. It comes in and goes out to the province. And that's been a common news story kind of all around the province, as well as they kind of put a big budget increase in that area out. And although it's funded by the province, municipalities are in charge of collecting that on their behalf. So we kind of take the blunt of that, more or less.
The policing is not as big, but it's still one that same situation. Where they're collecting it and not because we decided to, but we're told to. The requisition that you have in there, that includes housing as well.
Yep.
right?
So that would be the DIP assessment requisition, schooling requisition, and education requisitions all in place. Long Lake is handled slightly differently, like they're kind of a requisitioning body, but it's a little bit different, so it's not treated quite the same. And
Right.
policing as well, slightly different. I think as of this year, we're allowed to note it on our assessments, if I remember correctly, but it's still not the same as these other requisitions that give you a baseline mill right from the assessed value. It's still different in practice.
Make note of it. though.
Yeah.
So you made a couple adjustments. Like on the capital item, the fencing. What else?
That was
Yeah.
it since the last time. So the fencing and the windows.
Just you have a firmer number now on the community building fund.
Yeah.
And the LGFF, that's already been
That's our allocation for the year, so that's what we're spending. Yep.
still, it's kind of well, very good.
STIP is always contingent, so just to remind council, it's a good point. Those are year over year always bridge projects for us. Obviously the airport coming up is also STIP, it's just a different stream under it. So the way we do those is some of those bridge projects will apply a couple years in a row, but if we've applied based on a cost estimate and already taxed our residents for that, that money gets moved into our bridge reserve, and I track every bridge file that we've taxed money for. Every year as the costs adjust, if the estimates adjust at all, if it's less, then we actually have already overtaxed for that. We'll move the tax portion to a reserve funded portion. If it's higher, we'll tax for the difference. The reason I do that is just to avoid, or being able to comfortably tell people we're not taxing them twice for the same project when it doesn't happen, right?
Interesting. I've seen Minister Horner out in Edmonton there a couple weeks ago, and what kind of mentioned price of oil was approaching $100 a barrel. I said, that would stay there, he said. We would go from a $9 billion deficit to a surplus budget, he said.
Yeah.
But I said, it doesn't kick in immediately, you know, I don't see that. They kind of do it on an aggregate for the whole year.
Yeah.
And, but I mean, we've been 6 weeks into it now, so it's got to have some little bit of ripples. I mean, all of a sudden, STIP funding, LGFF, all those things you would see. I mean, LGFF is based on their revenues, right? So.
Flip side of that is they have to decide what to do with that money, because although it would be nice to give it all to municipalities, there's a lot of people like myself who are now paying $2 a liter at the pump that aren't very happy as a result of that. So there's, yeah.
Highways of their own to look after them.
Yeah.
We're demanding, we want the bridge across the Peace River, we want.
Yeah.
You know, all these things, so yeah, it's. But a surplus budget would definitely go a long ways to helping all those things, and. But that's.
Yeah.
Not reality yet. But it could be, I mean, it's funny when the oil prices go up, even if the war ended and the Strait of Hormuz opened, that price probably wouldn't go back to where it was. It seems to ratchet up, you know, up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
But there is.
For your budget, the only thing that does is makes your fuel lines more expensive. Just like the rest of us. And ultimately insurance year after year after year as well. Our municipal insurance has been pretty stagnant as far as increases go, way better than I see personally. But at the end of the day, when everything costs more, insurance costs more. It's just how life works. So that's kind of we don't see the good impacts necessarily from that, especially not right away.
Not
right?
away.
Yeah.
That's, I'm saying.
In years to come, maybe. Yeah.
It's a long game, right?
Yeah.
So, any questions on this? Updated budget, we're gonna pass this as a final budget, right?
Yeah, and what that does, so right now you have it passed as a preliminary budget. So anytime we are looking at doing any of the capital projects or tendering anything operating that would be substantial, we just bring that to council for approval before we actually do that. Passing the final budget gives us the ability to do that and just bring it back to you guys for award of tender. Ultimately is what that change does.
And then when would you like to set the mill rate?
We're gonna be doing that next meeting. Yeah, we have to, otherwise I can't get the tax notices out in time and we'd have to play around with it.
We have to, sometimes we would do it at this.
At the same meeting, yeah.
After this.
And the only reason we're not doing that is because I cannot get in touch with the contacts I was given for the education requisition. To deal with the impacts of Mercer's appeal. And that's a big enough piece of the puzzle that I was hoping to have that hammered out with them, but. Like I said, the rest of the government just kind of did that and said, here you go, and built it in, and North Beach Housing paid us back, so. Just waiting on those guys. And end of the world, it's not a big deal, there's over and under levy adjustments you can do and just substantiate with them. It's just nice to have it corrected as close to the problem as possible, in my mind. In case I get hit by the lotto bus and someone else ever has that.
Well, if there's no other questions, we'll look for a motion to approve the final budget.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Teresa, catch up here.
Following this, would you guys all like a hard or digital copy of this? Just for your own hang on your fridge kind of material or nighttime reading?
A digital copy on its own would be great.
Yeah, and we always, like, I don't think I've ever put the whole package up on our website. The new website could probably handle it, the old one wouldn't have, but definitely the first few pages there walking through it, the estimated reserves page that we're sitting on here now might be a good one to have on there, so. And then just a note that anybody wanting to sit and go through it is more than welcome to schedule some time with me and come go through it.
All right, so any other discussion? We have a motion by Brenda to approve the budget. If not, all in favor?
Thank you, council.
Josh.
I don't remember if that was all my stuff or not now. I think so.
Okay, we move to page 2, agenda. 6.21. Item A is the RCMP Community Priorities Plan.
So I received the proposed plan from them. The reason I really struggled to read the plan, but in the end, I think we got behind it. So it's broken down into like a few items there. The first item would be of the priority would be road safety. That would be on page 2 out of 4. What I understand is that currently they have a 0 target for annual traffic tickets issued, for example, first item there, and they want to up that to 40 and annual warnings from 0 to 80. I don't think it was undocumented before, but it must have been, but sorry, somebody was in my office, I think it was Josh that said, but there was definitely some fines issued. I don't know if he got one, but there was definitely some fines issued.
I got a warning.
Warnings there. Then on the second objective there would be reduce collision causing behaviors, or something there from annual checks from 0 to 4. Road safety for school age children. And so Sergeant Poole asked me if council would just acknowledge receipt of this, so that he can have a signature somewhere for that. I don't know, not quite exactly sure where, but he needs a signature, probably at the bottom, the last one, 4 out of 4. I think we should have clearly signed that so that we can pay all the fines.
And this is something new, you never done this before, which I mean was good, I guess. It's always good to have kind of some goals, right? And obviously we haven't documented it before, because I'm sure that none of it is really clear. So they'll have a baseline.
Just for clarity, when we asked about this new plan at the Peace River RCMP Advisory Committee, it's the same template. It's just they used to come to us and get priorities, and now this is a new formalized program, so they can't put numbers in because it's the starting documentation point, and it will update next year from a baseline to what it will be, is what it was explained to us.
All right, any other discussion on this? The motion that we accept it for information and,
Find it on.
yes, and that's, I guess I don't know what the wording would be, but they. Yeah, I do it, that's what they're.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Councillor Decker makes that motion. Last chance for discussion. All in favor? It's carried. 6.3.1, item A is DPW report, Charles.
Yes. So. I hope you can tell the spring's coming. Maybe. So we do have some plans here, and as Gerhard kind of alluded to in his report, we had an internal emergency planning meeting for if things get really crazy on us. So we do have a plan for that. We'll kind of divide the county up, and we've got a fair amount of resources internally, as well as contractors that we've got waiting in the wings, I'll say, for steaming purposes or excavators if we need them. Sorry, I shouldn't say will. We may have road washouts. It's a good possibility that we will. And we will address them as soon as we can, obviously in a priority order. Residential roads being and main roads being a main focus. But just so council is prepared, we will likely have road closures coming up. We do have a plan to deal with that as well. I don't know if that meeting we had, we kind of outlined worst case scenario and kind of prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
Might be good to point out and maybe work its way into the paper though, that
Oh,
we keep a list of all of the road closures on our website, so if people watch that. There's not an easy way to get that communication out, so that's the best way to just keep an itinerary of everyone that is current, so direct people there.
And as of Monday next week, we have a 75% 24-hour ban.
Yep, that's what I was gonna get to as well. Well, that's later on in the report, Gerhard.
That just, well, that is, that's it.
Yeah. So yeah, I just so everybody is aware, we are heavily planned for if things go sideways on us in a hurry. People are out, their crews are already out steaming, minor issues so far. But yeah,
And that's why I send him on a training course.
yeah, well, yeah, it was kind of funny. Gerhard's comment in there. He goes, "Your ICS 300 is shining through in this meeting." I said, "Well," and it was a very beneficial course to be prepared and prepare a plan, right? So, the other thing that I do want to very firmly point out is that the priority of our protections are, as I indicated here, buildings and bridges, main collector roads, residential roads, and then approaches. If there's water trickling over an approach, we're not gonna drop everything we're doing and run over there if there's major water coming over a collector road. Any questions on that? That's a fairly, I know, I kind of answered some of your questions.
Yeah, I had
Earlier, but
concerns from the Rhinewood area that I'd like to see some mitigation efforts ahead of the meltings.
and we have been.
Yeah.
So the thing is too, that we can't clear and open every ditch.
Yeah.
That's just not feasible.
Yeah, I think people understand that.
Yeah, we do have a bunch of contractors running around right now. I would suspect by next week, mid next week. That's going to be a moot effort. Things start opening up on us. Cause it is supposed to turn nice next week or.
And Charles, maybe also just reiterate that the county is not responsible for overland flooding
Yeah.
in private land. Yeah, it should be a.
100%, yeah, so it's, we do our best to keep the water where. Should be going, but
And I told you I've got some calls from
yeah,
Breaking Point, so.
yeah, you and I kind of talked about that already, and it is on the radar. We're gonna do our best to open up everything we can. I know, Blake, while he's still here, has got drainage ditches being opened and all that, so. Soon to be my problem. Any other questions? Comments, concerns? Cool. So last week I was down in Edmonton at the 2026 Bridge Industry Workshop. And what it is, it's a tri-party gathering of contractors, owners, and engineers / consultants. Very informative. It's nice to get together in those kind of settings because we get to talk about issues from all different perspectives. So one, and I know everybody's been kind of hitting on this, is the lack of funding. That was a big, loud topic. Is, well, we're not just because we're owners of infrastructure does not mean it's a blank check to come and do like whatever, right? We need to be responsible to our residents for the money that we are spending and not just, yes, here, go do it, go build a bridge. One of the interesting things actually to kind of come out of that conversation is if you're doing major building projects, and when I say major, I mean multi-million-dollar projects. There have been some owners as well as consultants that have done design builds, so you bring a contractor in when you're doing the design so that they have some input in how something is designed, so that when it comes to that construction phase, it's okay, well, we already kind of know what's going on, and we've come up with a plan that is beneficial to all three parties. Well, yeah, does what the owner says, but yeah, it was very interesting. There, just for council's information, really is there's a bridge operation subcommittee that is through ARCA, as well as the Certified Engineers of Alberta and Alberta Transportation. They get together and they talk about all sorts of different things. And one of the main things that come out of that conversation is that there will be a new addition to the bridge specifications coming out in 2026. They didn't say exactly when, but sometime this year, there will be new standards come out. One of the issues that some of the engineering firms are having is, and as well as from an owner standpoint, is a lot of firms seem to be consolidating and bigger firms, not gonna say names, but keep eating up little firms here and there. And some of the little firms are welcoming it because, well, now they can do bigger projects. But it poses a concern for us as owners, because we may not get the attention that we deserve, because our projects aren't as large. We're not building skyscrapers, we're doing small bridge maintenance or bridge replacements, stuff like that. the small fish. City of Edmonton and Calgary gave some presentations, that was kind of enlightening. City of Edmonton, they've got over 830 bridges and they're doing a big maintenance overhaul on a bunch of them on the white mud. It was, yeah, it was kind of interesting. They took over both City of Calgary and Edmonton, have taken over the parks bridges, so any like pedestrian bridges over creeks and stuff like that. They've taken that over, so they're knee deep in doing assessments on them and making sure they're safe for people. Road bans, as we've already talked about, we're shifting with the weather looking to be nice, so we're gonna go up to 24 hours a day. Core, we're doing a pre-audit meeting next on the 21st, whatever day that is, Tuesday. To see how we can be best prepared for our core audit in November, December. And then rural water hookups, just for information for council, they will be delayed this year. Due to late spring. So. Happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Charles. Sounds like you got a game plan for
Oh, yeah.
biggest splitting around we've had for a while.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And one of the big things there that I'll kind of touch on with the plan is we're gonna, if and when things let go, we will cut that border off. It's no longer a north and a south transportation. We're sending what we can down to them, and it'll all just be centrally coordinated efforts so that there's no miscommunication. Everybody knows where they're supposed to be. That's why I also said that we divide the county up. We decided to divide it up into wards because that was what made most sense. The lines are already there on the map, so we'll do the best we can.
No questions? Motion to accept his report for the commission. Thank you. Councillor Thies. All in favor? Carried. Next, item D, Charles, National Public Works. Yep, we report it.
As per every year, just bringing this forward to council, to claim, May 17th. Yeah. As the National Public Works Week. It's an effort for us to promote public understanding of infrastructure maintenance, as well as highlight importance of emergency response and support workforce recognition, recruitment and retention. At the end of the week, we will be having a barbecue. So council is more than welcome to join and encouraged to enjoy.
You talked about last year.
Yeah.
Okay. Prepared to make the motion, declare National Public Works Week. All move. Councillor Reese. All in favor? Carried. Move down to 6.3.2 roads, road bed signage.
Yes, this was just brought to my attention to kind of investigate, and so I did. It was to remove the road band signs off of the welcome to the county signs. I'm talking with transportation, they're not opposed to it. However, there is obviously some requirements. One of them being that we would have to indicate on the sign itself that it is for the county, not for Alberta Transportation. Which would in turn require new signs, obviously. So I have a rough idea what the sign would cost there, as well as installation and posts, obviously. So that would amount to about almost $3,500, if that is what council wishes.
So I was the one that brought this up, and every time I come into our county and see that sign, you got a picture of it there. And I mean, I travel across the province and see lots of municipal signs welcoming to the municipality, and we're the only ones that have that sign on there. To me, it looks awkward on there, it's confusing, like. It just seems like we're an outlier having that on there. I don't know whose idea that was. You're saying, is there a requirement that we have to have a sign saying around a road band, like years ago?
Should.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, again, I go back to how everybody else handles this throughout the province, and I don't know if they just, in the spring road band season, do they just put a temporary sign up? And then when it's, road bands are off, they take it down, put it away?
Yeah, God, I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if.
But we should find out how they do that, because to me, again, this, I don't know, it just looks amateurish, I think, and whoever's idea it was probably had good intent at the time, but I just.
Yeah, I think it's important to have the sign. However, where it is, I mean,
It's probably the most convenient,
it's, well, and that's, I think, why it
right?
was. Now, a lot like driving down to Edmonton, when I was going through Greenview, it seemed like almost every other road they had the signs on the actual road.
That's what we used to do, right, years ago?
And I think this was a way to say, okay, well, we don't need to have a sign at every road, that's overkill. Now, where we do have signs on the roads, is where there are permanent road bans, so. Roads like Dando Road or Wally Road, those are permanently signed. Because they are year-round bans, but. Yeah, I think this is convenient.
I think we can do better. Just to me, if I was first time coming to the county driving a truck, and it was the middle of January, and I come across a sign, I said, what the hell, they got a 75% road ban on from 10 a.m. till 10 p.m.
Until that sign gets taken off.
Well,
Signs are
so
year-round.
in the summer, when we do not have road bans on, that goes to 100%. At 24 hours. Or I don't know if we actually put it, I don't think we put a time on.
I don't.
It's just
know that I see it.
100%.
Yeah. So yeah, like I feel that especially if we go to a roads bylaw, like we've kind of discussed in the past. It would be important to have something out there. Obviously, and I mean, at the end of the day as well, anybody who holds a road use agreement. Once these road bans start coming on, we email them. Everybody who has a road use agreement with us currently gets an email.
Yeah, but how about the other?
But the ones that don't, exactly. And I mean, if they're not using a road use agreement, are they really going to obey what the road bans are? That's the other side of that argument.
Yeah, I mean, that's regardless, I mean.
Yeah.
I would check with some of our rural neighbors and see how they handle it, because like I said, again, and I made note of it when I went, my last trip to Calgary, when you pass through a lot of municipalities between here and Calgary, and not one sign had something like this on it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they do, if they put signs on every road leading off of the primaries and the secondaries, or do they? How do they communicate that? I'm not sure.
Yeah, cause I noticed the same thing, like when I drove down to Edmonton, I kind of kept an eye out, and then it's like, yeah, Greenview seems to have, and I believe it was Smoky as well. Has signs off the highway everywhere, and
Yep.
I mean, that would come at an extremely significant cost to revert to that.
You know, we used to do it, but I don't know if that's back in the transportation days, or if that was in the MD days, or what it was, but I remember that every spring there would be a sign go up on the roads that I traveled.
Yeah.
Road bans in effect.
Well,
So something to take, something to take into account too is come this time of year. now I only have to go change 7 signs. Whereas if we did that, you'd spend 2-3 days going and making sure every sign's changed. And then if you don't have one changed, or miss one, because we're human, then people are, yeah, I don't know what the answer is. Now that I think of it, Big Lakes as well has signs on every road.
Well,
Well, it would make sense to have them on the roads that are coming off the main highways. Right? Like this is along Highway 35.
This is actually the north boundary sign.
Yeah.
so I mean,
It's just more signage.
are we allowed to share signposts on the, coming off the primaries and secondaries? Like if there's a speed limit sign or a stop sign,
No.
you have to put a separate post up.
Yeah, they would, transportation especially, would require you to not only have a separate post, but now it has to have county logo or county northern lights somewhere extremely obvious that it is not Alberta transportation.
Well, I mean, in light of all that, I guess this does work then, it's just. To me, it's just,
And I mean, we could, it could be for future discussion that, okay, maybe the signs need to be updated. Like the actual welcome to the county signs, and maybe we are able to make it a little more aesthetically pleasing.
well, so what you priced out, you're proposing to take these off there. And have a separate sign at the county entrance.
Yeah,
Stating there's a
those seven locations.
Yeah, I would be more in favor of that, but.
So I guess the only thing I'm struggling with is, so we're gonna spend the money to do all the signs for something that's aesthetically pleasing. Like I'm having a hard time wrapping my mind around justifying the cost when we have it on the posts right now and they get emailed with an update. So there's not really any excuse to not know, but like to spend the money for something to be aesthetically pleasing when we are just talking about a budget that's tight, I'm having a hard time getting my head around it.
Well, aesthetically pleasing is not primary reason. The primary reason I found was it was kind of confusing leaving it up there year round.
Okay.
Yeah, so you say you go out and change that 75% to 100% and change the times if necessary.
Yeah.
But I notice these signs when I enter the county from any direction. Then you kind of say, well, what did I just see now? Is there road restrictions in effect? I mean, typically in northern municipality, you would have that, right? You would have it either on each road, like you said, which would come at a huge, you take a lot of labor, all that.
Oh, sure, yeah, put them in, well, it would take a day just to do the 7 signs, as well as doing your first calls. I don't even know how many first calls to put in.
So I guess what I'm thinking is when there is no road bans on, which is supposed to be here, then that shouldn't even be on there, right? If you only have 7 of them to do, take the damn things right off there, don't worry about putting 100% or whatever, or put a cover on them somehow. And then.
I would kind of disagree with that, because if you take it off, instead of just putting the 100% on, people who are not necessarily frequent to the county, these truckers, they know what that sign means. And it's the same as the signs that we are going to be putting up about road use agreements.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're a trucker that's not from the north area and there's no sign, then by default, that means there's no road restrictions, right? It's 100%. And we put it up when there is restrictions, whether it's 50 or 75 or 90. I don't think you have to be told that there's no road ban on.
I feel we should leave it for this year and maybe.
I don't know, check and see some of the, yeah, I'm not saying do anything this spring, well, get your road done season now.
So yeah, it can't come down right now, but
But maybe let's just kind of see what other, the municipalities handle it. And,
I think they put them up when they're on and they take them down when they're off.
that's, would be a simple solution.
Makes sense.
well, yes and no, but yeah, I get your.
Because it's not, it's only.
So then then I guess the question is too, is are we gonna keep that rural crime watch sign?
That's right, yeah.
That's what I do. Is there an agreement in place for that?
I have no idea. That's been there as long as I've lived up here.
Yeah, I don't know if that ended up on there, but
Well, cause it's on a lot of them. Cause we're part of the rural crime watch area.
I think that we talked about it enough, we'll bring it back.
Yeah, I can look into what other people are doing, but
Yeah.
yeah, I just,
well, and see what it would, you know, what's,
it's more labor intensive. Let me put it this way, it is more labor intensive for a crew to go out and take the sign down instead of just sliding in 75 or 100%.
well,
That's
Less is more from my perspective.
Yeah.
well, right, it's like, I mean, for our guys right now,
Yeah.
like come Monday, they will go out and it will take them all of. Well, our north crew, different story, because they've got to drive all the way up, okay. But. The guys down south, they can have this all done in a matter of. I don't know, maybe 2.5 hours. Whereas to take the signs down, I don't even know.
okay, well, we'll
But
just,
we'll bring it back to you.
yeah, we'll accept that information, and all that report. The motion to do that, Galen? Good quiet.
Yeah, I can make the motion that we bring it back. I'm struggling with it. I mean, we don't take down school zone signs just because they're not effective. We know the times and we leave them up, right? But I hear you. We'll bring it back and can beat it to death then.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. Need to roll back? We're planning a development update.
It's probably a running out of.
Anyone else this week?
Yeah. Issue.
Let's just skip down the board reports, so we're waiting, 7.0. Any discussion out of them? Otherwise, get a motion to accept the board reports. Gary got it on this morning, hope everybody got it. Okay, Councillor Reese moves to accept the board reports, all in favor, carried. Info package. Any discussion rising from it? Seeing none, the motion to accept the info package is information, Gary, Councillor Reese, all in favor, it's carried. Mike Rowe,
Hi.
we go back up to 6.1, in development
Perfect.
update.
Yes. This is our March report. So in March, we received a total of 13 development permit inquiries. ISL received 1, so 14 all in all. 2 applications came as a result of that. 6 notice of decisions were issued. 5 of them were new. 1 was a reissue due to some minor interior house plan changes. In our subdivisions, we had 5 inquiries received by county staff, 1 by ISL for a total of 6. 4 applications have resulted from that. 1 notice of decision was issued and none have been endorsed. We are working on those land use bylaw amendments and going to have the consultants go through them just to make sure they're as clear as legally possible before we bring them back. Was there any questions on my report?
We're still tracking all the hours spent on specific inquiries as well.
On the ISL billing, we are tracking it if they're tracking now per file number, but not for all inquiries. Those are being just recorded in a separate category.
Any other questions? That was a short and sweet update, but
Yeah, very short and sweet.
just need a motion to accept the presentation. Since all in favor, it's carried. Thank
Thank you,
you.
council.
We can move down to open mic.
Did you do the info?
Yep. Dan,
What?
I said Dan, not Jim.
How much did it cost to have your driveways done?
$50 each time, right?
Are there a sufficient number of, I guess it's sort of a. But are there lots of private companies that are available in the area to plow driveways?
There is a,
It's subjective.
we haven't made the publicized list or anything, but I mean, there's people that do that work, right? So
And I guess, like you said, I mean, most people would have their own equipment anyway, like,
well,
you're not
I
there.
never said that, but I mean, a lot of people do.
Well, you said you have them,
Yeah, I do, but that doesn't mean everybody does, right? So.
you said your neighbors. Anyway. Who are the members of PREA, and does it include Maddie?
Yes. So do you want to, I can give you that.
Well, is it basically like the Peace Regional Energy Committee plus Maddie, or?
Plus, so it was original Peace Regional Energy Committee
Yes.
was Peace River, Grimshaw, Northern Sunrise, MD of Peace, and County Northern Lights.
Okay.
We since added Town of Manning, Village of Berwyn, and Village of Nampa.
Oh.
So there's eight members, 8 municipalities now.
Right. And I was just wondering, is any member of the county going to be at the Crime Watch meeting in Dixonville on April 16th?
I'm on going.
You are.
Yeah, I may, I just, I got it in my diary, I'm not overly committed to going, but if I'm available, I will.
I will be attending as the representative for the county for sure too.
All right, thanks.
You're going, Caleb, as a county rep? Yeah.
Yeah, that's my committee, so I'll be there.
And I was just basically asking because I was planning to go, but I wanted to make it relevant for the county as well, so I just wanted to make sure that someone.
Yeah, so there'll be 2 reps there for sure, Brenda and Caleb. And
Perfect. That's it for me.
yeah. All right, anything else?
Is this my time?
Yeah.
Well,
After reviewing package for this week, I'm somewhat disturbed, or I don't completely understand how this county is run. I noticed you guys were looking for 2 new training sessions. One of the sessions was county role in public engagement, and I see most of you have already taken that. Apparently, they're teaching you something that's false, or you didn't learn anything, because there is very little public engagement. It's like you guys are afraid to talk to the people that your decisions have made actually affect. You'll go talk to consultants, you'll go talk to these teachers and everybody, instead of making decisions for yourself. For example, this thing with nuclear. You'll go to all these meetings, you'll talk to all these so-called experts, and you're just so reluctant to talk to us, the ratepayers. Or the biggest thing, this budget. I reviewed the whole budget. You're making decisions that affect me and everybody in this county. And you haven't asked a single person whether we agree with this budget. Money is tight. I've gone through that budget.
And I could cut $1 million without even batting an eye. And you guys just see, well, we're gonna raise our mill rate by 1.5% because we need to spend more money. For example, I'll just give you a few quick examples. Move Up magazine. It comes in my mail, I throw it in the fire. We give them $17,000 a year. And everybody I've talked to either doesn't even remember getting the Move Up magazine or just throws it away like I do. Number two. I don't know if you guys are impressed. I listened to Northeast Applied Research. And I was absolutely flabbergasted that we give them hundreds of thousands of dollars to tell me exactly what my grandfather knew 50 years ago farming. If it doesn't rain, you don't get a crop. If you don't pick the weeds will grow. This ground is clay, water does not go into it. Certain crops grow here, in Rhinewood, different crops grow. They're spending, what's $600,000 a year, and they're hiring more people to tell us we all know. If I need to know something, some new plant, soybeans, I'll go ask one of my neighbors who tried it and they'll go, that didn't work. Okay, we're done. We don't need to spend this money. It just boggles my mind. I come to this meeting, you spend most of your time feeding a bunch of parasites. And there's no other word I can use for them. Everybody comes, give us $1,000, give us $5,000. You basically have $100,000 a year that you just give away that has no value to me as a ratepayer. That's $1 million every 10 years, just gone. Just absolutely wasted. And I don't understand this. Okay, this last one, the road ban, $3,400 for a sign. Take down the sign, put up another post and put the exact same sign on it because you have to have road ban and you have to have County of Northern Lights. You have the County of Northern Lights. You say, well, it looks ugly. People don't know. As a truck driver, when I drive into the county, I need to know if there's the sign that says road ban and whether it's 50%, 75 or 100. If I see no sign, I cannot assume there is no road ban. Just as if I'm driving down the highway and I don't see a speed sign, what road am I on? I can't just automatically assume there's no speed limit. Is it a county road at 80 kilometers? Is it 100? There has to be that sign. We don't have money to just say, well, we don't like that. Let's just spend some more money on that. We spend all this money on, he was talking about going with these engineers and contractors. They replaced the bridge right by my place. I took pictures the other day. There is 4 inches of water on top of the bridge because it is the lowest part of the whole road. All the water runs onto the bridge. I told them that when they were putting the bridge in, and I said, this is what the contract or the engineers designed, and we cannot change it. So you come down onto the bridge and then go up on the other side. Why are we spending all this money and having such poor quality work? We're talking about nuclear. Highway 690, I came up there last Thursday, and where they go to do, where they're doing their testing, the road was literally impassable, Highway 690. I got stuck in the middle of the road following the grader. There is ruts a foot deep. And you're saying, well, this isn't going to affect us having this nuclear power plant running up and down the road. Simple little things. This RCMP thing. I was here when they did their presentation. They said we're going to have community input. You guys just approved this little, oh, we're going to try and make it safer by give out more tickets. What about go catch some criminals? Oh, we're gonna give out tickets and we're gonna go talk to the kids at school. And the last one, just to be clear, I tried to find it and I couldn't find it, so maybe you can tell me, is there, because I seen it in the paper in the fall, that we are not supposed to push snow out of our driveways across a county road and leave it in the ditch. Is there a policy or was that just a thought or an idea for the county? I'm asking you a question.
You want we There is nothing specific, no policy, but we ask that you don't, and we have advertised that you don't.
Okay,
Because when the grader comes and you've got a huge mountain of snow there. Your wing is gonna hit that, and it's not gonna be able to move.
Okay.
So we just ask that you don't, we're not.
No, that's fine.
Anything on any residents or anything like that.
So I understand that, and now we have lots of snow. And if you drive around the county, there's lots of places where the ditches are plugged because people pushed it across. And I'm thinking, okay, you guys did that. Happened to go through Dixon the other day. I have pictures here, across from Public Works. They pushed the snow across the road. It's still sitting on the pavement in the driving lanes. And if somebody's coming out of the yard, the snowbanks are so high, you cannot even see someone coming on the road. And I'm thinking, am I missing something? If you guys are telling the people, the residents, not to push snow across the road, and here, director or your Public Works Department just pushed it across the road and just left it, right there's a pile 8-10 feet high, right on the pavement. And they've been doing that all winter long.
Down there not too long ago, when there was no.
Here's the picture. Jim took them on Thursday.
Okay. Well, put it up.
And that's why I say, is nobody watching what's going on? I'm thoroughly disappointed that you guys are even thinking of raising our taxes when you guys literally waste money. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thanks for your expression of views, so we appreciate your attendance.
Oh, one last thing. Just so I understand, because Jim and I feel like little worms. I noticed in your agenda, it says, everybody who attended this meeting. We have Dan here, but not once has Phil and Jim's name been put on there. So if anybody ever looked at these minutes, they would never say anybody else ever attended these meetings. So is it only for people who are on council or employees? So if there was 30 people showing up, you wouldn't write down all their names. But since there's only 1 or 2, we don't want to put them in there because then we have a precedent. Just clarify.
We normally don't put the members of the public's names.
So Dan
He's
is
representing the newspaper.
report.
Yeah.
Okay, just, that's fine. I don't care one way or the other. It's just, I wanted to know.
Okay, thanks.
And maybe just one answer, the Naparo grant is only $100,000. It's not hundreds of thousands of dollars.
No, but they spend hundreds of thousands because they get it from other people.
They get it from other people. From the county, they get 100.
Yes, that's, I understand.
How's the sound system?
What's coming?
When?
Actually, we checked it out last week.
Yeah.
ADP's now look at theirs and very impressed with it.
I want to reiterate, there's a lot of seats in front and you can definitely hear us better over here.
These seats are funny. I mean, we can whisper here and this guy in front of us can hear us. So one of the questions I'm gonna ask, why is the MD paying for half the dust control? Why is the county paying for half?
Because the county is also benefited from that part. Because there's not dust on that stretch of road and
It's a subsidized
and it's
service.
a subsidized service.
Well, it goes back to the same thing about snow. There's only a certain amount of people that use it. And yet you're dropping the snow, plowing snow in the yards. But you're still gonna pay for half of the dust control. And when you do the driveways, we're paying for that. The people are paying for it.
The dust control, you're referring to the Sunny Valley Road?
No, in front of people's residents.
No.
You pay for half.
In front of the residents.
Reeve, may I?
Yeah.
So in the advertising, we switched it over so that people understood that the service was being subsidized. So it does actually cost us $1,400, but we have always only charged you half for years and years and years and years. No one knew that it was subsidized. So if you want to know where your taxes went, and you are a rare resident, because most people have no idea. And so you are only being charged that portion of that service that your council is providing. We wanted to make sure, council wanted to do more education and awareness so that people understood where their tax dollars were going. Does that help explain?
No. No, because once they do the dust control, they don't grade it. And there is holes, like,
Charles wants to speak on that one. That is not true.
yeah, it is
We
true.
do go back and grade it, if it, after a heavy rain, cause you can only grade it once it's wet. Or if it's bad enough, they go back and they wet it down and grade it. I know that for sure.
Well, I take that west road and the North Star there, and I'll tell you, there's holes in there where the dust control is.
And they,
It's unreal.
and they did do grading on it when we did the whole road back
So
a couple years ago.
I'd like to just send you the repair bill for the vehicle.
Slow down.
All right. Thanks, Jim. We're gonna go in camera, we have a few camera items, but we'll take a break because we got 5 items to go through there, so just give Councilor chance to break, use the bathroom, whatever, and then we'll try to conclude this.
Yeah. It sounds important.
I mean,
Before you run away.
it's like that all the way, like those, you know, I didn't have to be, Thursday, we'll move.
Oh, yeah, minute.
Take some pictures.